Can't you see I'm calling? A guy like you shouldn't wear a warning. It's dangerous, I'm falling. There's no escape, I can't wait. I need a hit, baby, give me it. You're dangerous, I'm loving it. Too high, can't come down. Losing my head, spinning round and round. Do you feel me now? With the taste of your lips, I'm on a ride. You're toxic, I'm slipping under. The taste of your poison paradise. I'm addicted to you, don't you know that you're toxic? And I love what you do, don't you know that you're toxic? I'm addicted to you, don't you know that you're toxic? It's getting late to give you up. I took a sip from my devil's cup. Slowly, it's taking over me. Too high, can't come down. It's in the air and it's all around. Can you feel me now?
All right, microphone working now? Okay, yeah, we got numbers. Hello, welcome everybody. Today will be a mental health day. I am, my mental health is lacking today, I suppose one can say. And it's been triggered by something I've been dealing with, so it's pertinent to other things. Wow, someone said yes. Do you like being manipulated? Well, okay. I mean, some people do, you know, it's fine. With the tricky questions, I think I'll never have a poll where there'll be 100% for any answer. Good question, Xander. Where am I today? I'm probably in the 40%, which is above average certainly, but probably below what my how I've been previously. It hurts a lot. I'm sorry, Travis. But I just want to try to understand it a bit more and figure out, is that the Travis that I may be speaking of here? I spoke to today, and yeah, I want to go over this. It is Travis Stewart in particular that kind of really put me like in an overwhelming state, and I just kind of want to put it out there because I feel hurt, and I want to understand it. 60, 70 today. Okay, those are good numbers. It's been rough for me lately too. I'm sorry. That's a Pat. Sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that as well. I just work 5 days a week for 12 plus hours a day. Groundhog Day feeling. Oh man, yeah, maybe we should have a freaking mental health day. But I did want to address this. So this is what really got me. This really put me in a funk today, and I just am at a loss.
That comes with some people, and like Demetrius George is one of the most wild people I've ever seen on skates. But like, does anybody ever like hang out with him and he's just like kicks it at the skate park with people? Like, I don't really see that all that often, and that's not a knock towards him. That's just not his MO. But like this guy right here is like, he goes to countries with his skates, and people still to this day DM him and like, oh man, you remember when you were here? It'd be so sick if you come back. Or they send him messages and they're like, come to my country. Like, I'll give you anything. Like, it'd be so cool to have you. Like when he was on Razors, people reached out and made him go to Colombia. Like, it's just like, that's how it is. Like that's what you can do as a pro in this industry, is you can create the next generation of skaters. And what we have a lot of right now is pros who don't want to do that, or people who are representatives of brands who don't want to do that, and they kind of want to create this like self-image, and it's unfortunate. And we're creating this walled gate around rollerblading where no one wants to come in. We all love what we do. Spread the love with someone else. Like, make more people come and skate. And if you're complaining that it's not good enough in rollerblading, do something.
You're doing a good segue.
So
Level of professionalism that comes with some.
it doesn't really seem like much, or it could come off as not seeming like much. But the part about what the Demetrius part is what really stuck out to me. Like, wait a second, why is Demetrius even being involved in this? And why is he looking at like why is he being given a bad potential perspective from this? That's what I gathered from this statement here.
Like, Demetrius George is one of the most.
Especially talking about professionalism here, right here. I mean, I don't feel this is a professional thing to do.
And like, Demetrius George is one of the most wild people I've ever seen on skates. But like, does anybody ever like hang out with him and he's just like kicks it at the skate park with people? Like, I don't really.
I mean, totally. That totally happens. He's Demetrius George. I mean, I've never heard any ill wills towards him and how he conducts himself when he's at sessions or at events. So to put him down in this perspective, what seemed very unnecessary and unwarranted. And I'm just trying. It really took me for a pause there. Like, I mean, I think my comment was like, "What the fuck is this combination of words happening?" or something along those lines of that. And just like, really, what is this? I mean, I've known Travis, and he didn't seem like this. Travis is definitely an ass, and they'll tell him to his face, but he's a homie. Yeah, I respect Travis as a person, definitely. So that's also why like this took me for like kind of a spin here. Like, wait a second, fucking what? Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of questions after this interview as well. And I want it to be like I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate Travis as a person, as someone who's in the session, and Adam says he's a homie. And I want to look at it in that light. And just, I mean, same with Adapt. I mean, yes, Adapt has, Adapt has some things that my beliefs don't align with for sure. But I do want to avoid like feeling like this in a situation. So like, just like anybody else at the session, I kind of want to get a better understanding here. But I mean, this again, I mean, I'm going to play this a little bit because it just makes no sense to me. I want to make sense of it.
That's just not his MO. But like, this guy right here is like, he goes
preventing him from being there. Oh yeah, I mean, we have a lot of things rough.
They DM him and like, oh man, you remember when you were here? It'd be so sick if you come back. Or they send him messages and they're like, come to my country. Like, I'll give you anything. Like, it'd be so cool to have you. Like, when he was on Razors, people reached out and made him go to Colombia. Like, it's just like, that's how it is. Like, that's what you can do as a pro in this industry, is you can create the next generation of skaters. And what we have a lot of right now is pros who don't want to do that, or people who are representing.
I mean, what pros don't want to represent skating and get them on board? I mean, I do have issue with that statement. I don't think it's accurate. I feel like everybody's doing their damn best at what they can do. So I feel like that's Travis used to run Blader Union, and he works for Adapt now, apparently, or works with Adapt. I don't know if he works for Adapt, but he works with Adapt now. And he's done a good amount of social media for rollerblading through Blader Union. I can say that. It seems on brand with Adapt Peter's apology letter, and this is also something I'm concerned about too. Is like, is this the idea of, are these the ideas of the company, or I mean, I have a little bit to go on before, but because I mean, if I dig into more, I have some things loaded up to kind of get a little bit better understanding of Travis. But again, like this 1 minute statement, and that doesn't include the question I asked him, which we'll go over, I guess, in a second. But he definitely has genuine intentions. That's why I'm getting a little bit messed up here. It's like, I don't know why you need to put others down in order to make your points, and that's very suspicious of manipulation tactics that have been used against me in the past, and that's why I'm really trying to make a draw out of this, and in my own sense, kind of get over my previous experience, and this is just all coming from my personal experience. Like I'm just trying to understand this, and I hopefully don't have any, ill will towards anything or what have you. But I just really want to understand what's going on here, and I really don't want to feel like this continuing moving on because I do get a bad vibe from Adapt, and I mean like I said, they've done a lot of notable things for the sport. So and it would be nice to not get that vibe from them. It's weird to me the heat people want to put on Adapt but still buy Razor's products. Yeah, and it's weird to me. I am just one consumer man here. I am just a guy and living in his parents' basement in a hammock. I mean, I guess I have some sort of leverage and scope of things that I'm unaware of, but I'm trying to give this as a perspective, just an observer, really, with a little bit of experience with the industry, but minimal at best. One half of Blader Union when it was around, and then PR manager for Adapt now, basically. And there's a lot of great things with Blader Union. It was very transparent, and there was a lot of heart that went into Blader Union for probably zero profits, I'm sure, but yeah, it's definitely respectable the things that he's done. It's kind of blaming nameless people. It was weird. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, yeah, putting a lot of blame. There's not a lot of accountability, like taking accountability and just deflecting blame. Let's listen to. I asked him the question,
Like good.
and I wasn't expecting this. I understand that I asked a question that could definitely be seen as maybe a malicious one, or just or maybe even a controversial question. But I because I'm experiencing this to a certain degree, and I think a lot of rollerblades do, but I don't want to diminish that either. I don't want to be gaslighting right now, but like John's answer, I was looking for like a more human answer, and yeah, John took it in a weird direction that I was not expecting.
And
Oh, here we go. with
Here we
crazy
go.
shit.
so, how does it feel working with a company with a polarizing image? How do you handle the criticisms?
Yeah, I mean that's a valid question. I'm the new one on the team for all that fun stuff. I mean, here's the thing. Every story, there's three sides to it. There's your side, there's their side, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. Adapt has decided to kind of be quiet on some of the stuff that's happened and just not really acknowledge it because some of it's not worthwhile. I joined Adapt in 2023. I've been working with them since 2017. I wasn't here when some of that stuff transpired, but I know like some of the positions that Peter's had, like with the Levy situation, for instance, and that's a big one. Like they came here on vacation and their pro rider who just got a pro skate for them walked and sent them an email and that was it. Like, of course they're going to be frustrated. They have to scrap their plans for what they're doing. They have to go in and revamp the website. They have to change everything. Like there's a lot of challenges there. And some of the other stuff that happened, like I think we've got a sliver of the story, but some of the polarization that people see is blading media outlets going out and creating stories and saying things.
Yeah, see, blading media is going out and creating stories and saying things is very much villainizing the media, and it's very much deflecting. Like, oh, we're being villainized. It's actually the other person that's really at fault here. And yeah, to Amy's statement, like it's not a good business tactic to put something down in order to compliment another, especially starting out. I think so. It seemed like propaganda shine a good light on Adapt. I think Travis was brought in as damage control. I could see that. He's an ass and talks shit. Should have taken the interview more seriously. And maybe it's just a learning lesson. Hopefully, I don't know. But Adam, as someone who knows him personally, apparently, 100% unfortunate. It was gaslighting. Yeah, and it was a not true statement. Here. I had a Forbes thing online. Are you gaslighting customers by Forbes? Well, let's look into what gaslighting is before we even say what call a thing is. I mean, sure, Fromm was cringing. Yeah, Fromm did not look comfortable at some points. I don't watch John Fromm's hands. He was nervous. Yeah, and that's not good for that's not good for John Fromm's sake either. I mean, we love John and fucking we don't want him to be. I don't want anybody to be uncomfortable if all possible in this small community that we have. The 2022 word of the year is gaslighting, or manipulating or deceiving someone. Gaslighting is common in the customer experience when brands try to convince their customers of a different truth or ignore their problems. And I mean, marketing is manipulation at its very core, certainly. So gaslighting is almost built into whatchamacallit, but definitely into business. But some definitely do it worse than others. The opposite of gaslighting is taking ownership, listening to customers, and building trust. And that's what I feel like is the opposite of what is going on with this interview. So yeah, I mean, that's just to give you guys a better term of gaslighting. Gaslighting is common customer experience when brands try to convince their customers of a different truth or ignore their problems. That's important. You know, a customer should want to feel safe, I feel like. Searches for the term which means mind manipulating, grossly misleading, or deceiving someone skyrocketed this year as people find examples of gaslighting everywhere. And I mean, I feel like this is an example, so that's why I'm putting it out there. I mean, I feel bad in a sense for Travis, because it's something I want to talk about for a while now, but it's the thing of like, oh, I have something relevant, so I'm going to talk about it here. We vote with our dollars. That is the bottom line. If someone doesn't deserve our hard-earned money, then give them none and they won't survive. We have to make our own judgment call, and that's true. That's true. That is ultimately the goal of business. And I guess if bad business tactics are enabled and people don't have your trust, I mean, it's going to be hard to sell. I love Ben, and I'm happy he got a cool opportunity like this to have the exclusive premiere of John's edited announcement, but I think Travis took advantage of Ben's good nature. Yeah, and we might see a little bit that here soon. Most anyone would be nervous having to answer this question. I agree. I said that it was a hard question, harder than I anticipated it being. 3 sides of the truth thing I only have heard from narcissists. I can't disagree with that from my own experience as well. Good call. Gaslighting gets tossed around a lot. I don't know most people really understand what it truly is. Pine Top, of course. That's why Peter should have cleared this up on his own. Drummond told me Peter talked to Levy and solved this a while ago, and why hasn't brought up? And just from anecdotally, I've heard not a lot of great customer support. And you know, it's the common thing of like, oh, I was told to get like a size or two too small, and it was a size or two too small, and yeah, it's like for this to keep on happening. I've worked at businesses like this with practices like this, and it's as an employee of it, it's terrible to be around. And I don't wish anybody to have to endure those situations. Not get bored with guys who didn't cause the drama shouldn't be made to explain it. Oh yeah, shit, I shouldn't. But we're here now, so I'm trying to understand it. So maybe we can get a better thing. Travis has been around for a long time. He's been super active in the industry and has been different perspective on things. I couldn't explain, but it's understandable converse. And he has a big long thing of why he left Glittering. I thought it to be very insightful, and I do want to get to this. And I just want to understand him more as a person. At least that's what I'm trying to get at. They can give their perspective, and that's it. And we can only take their perspective and try to understand it the best we can, and we can't totally expect it. Yeah, I feel bad for Travis and John. It's not their fault. I am just trying to feel better and hopefully make other people feel better. And I don't want to make it seem like I am making it seem bad, because it has affected me in a negative fashion. But yeah, I'm really just trying to understand. So that's my own selfishness in this matter. And I'm not even gonna say anything else. We'll just listen.
Doing the correct journalism. Like, we're here talking to you,
Sure.
Ben. We're happy to give you any information you want to know. We're happy to talk through it. But like, no one has ever reached out to anyone on the team. No one's ever reached out to me. No one's ever reached out to Peter and Olga. The only person who did was Brandon Drummond, and he got an honest response from Peter, and it was hard.
See, and I feel like that's deflecting responsibility as well. Like, it sounds very reminiscent of the Rosies, saying, "Oh, we don't have any girls because nobody approached us." I mean, I feel like modern business is that of one that should be more proactive. And yeah, it does give me an uneasy feeling when you're only waiting on something to happen instead of using the outlets that you have currently available. I'd say, just to clear things up. But that's for my own comfort, really. So that's definitely not required.
heartfelt, and it was also tough, you know, like it wasn't the words that everybody wanted to hear, but he was honest in the words that he said, and it probably could have used a little better English translation, but at the same time, like I think there's a
And I think that's a good point too. Like Razors has a lot of things. I feel like I kind of like the thing of like maybe we should probably stop letting this stuff slide though. Is what I think I'm getting to the point, and that this was an open, you know, this was public. I think a lot of the things Razors did was more behind closed doors kind of thing. But this was, you know, right out in the public, so this is why I'm, you know, kind of exemplifying this, I guess you could say. But that's a point there. Travis can be a lot to handle, but John is awesome all day, every day. I could understand that. Yeah, John, I don't have didn't feel any sort of I didn't have a feeling of uneasiness from John in this. I don't know. I feel bad for John because he left Razors to find a company that would treat him better and see value in him, but he kind of seems brainwashed. But Travis just jumped on board. He's willing. That is a perspective. Willing to participate to spread more gaslighting. Pine Top. There are many people who don't skate Razors for that reason, myself included. They get a pass from people who use whataboutism. Okay, yeah, that's sort of new to me. I'd imagine most people who care about this care about Razors. The owner of Adapt got out of line severely one time, and y'all are ready to cancel him. Pine Top canceling is not the same as holding people responsible. And again, like I would like Razors to be better. Like I would like anybody in the rollerblading industry. I would like everybody to be better in general, but yeah, I don't know. Let me go through. We'll watch the rest of this, and then let's go through what
and Adapt just
insights Travis used to have, because there's some good things there.
Great drama. They don't want to do anything else. Of course, there's things that every brand has done that isn't great. There's things with relationships that have soured everywhere on earth. Like it's just inevitable.
See, and that's not true either. Like we know all of the rollerblading brands. Like, I mean, they do some silly things sometimes that are, you know, can be, you know, not approved by the audience, but like to say every company, I mean, law is not going to say that, you know, what he said about Demetrius. I know he's not the owner of the company. I'm putting him, you know, in a different light, but he is definitely responsible in a professional position. But I mean, there have been some bad things, but what we currently have now, I think it would be nice not to have these things. I mean, I have full trust in Law. I have full trust in Clark. Matthias, Matthias seems like an open book. I mean, and doesn't I don't really hear them putting down other companies in order to make, you know, in regards to themselves. Industry is not pretty as far as I know, and I mean industry sucks too. I mean that's a good part of why like I don't really get involved much in the industry side of things, because you know once you get money and things involved, like things get ugly. I hear you appreciate the point. Being held accountable is important, but I'm not going to demonize someone for a situation I wasn't firsthand witness of, and that's where it gets tough. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's so many factors that I don't know about, but yet I'm exposed to them, which I guess is why I'm uncomfortable about that. Pine Top, it wasn't just this one time though. He has a track record of questionable behavior. Yeah, we'll add to that as well. And it's
manufactured from people.
It's strange.
I'm not going to say that they're wrong, but the amplification of that manufacturing is what's happening. Like, if anybody out there wants to know the story, be a fucking journalist and come and talk to us. Like, ask us for our.
Yeah, that's strong language. And yeah, it's strong language against, you know, the rollerblading journalism as a whole. Saying you guys are all I mean, this is my interpretation. You're saying y'all are pussies and you need to come talk to us. You know, it's like you use strong language in that, which is, you know, unprofessional, but I'll give that I'm fine with that.
Like, if anybody out there wants to know the story, be a fucking journalist and come and talk to us. Like, ask us for our side. Like, have an honest conversation.
Like, be a fucking journalist. I mean, that's hard to swallow. So I mean, that's just my opinion on that. I mean, I would probably, like, if I had I heard that from somebody, there's good chances that I would not want to be friends with them. I don't have all the facts yet, but I would say that based on the comments are from people I trust asking for accountability and cancel it's a bailing random. Yeah, I don't want him to be canceled. I want Travis to still be around. I don't want to hear things like this from him. I feel, and I'm not here to tell him he can't say that. If this is true, Travis, I mean, sure, fine. Own it. That's fine. Cool. But I guess it's a kind of wishy-washiness to it, which makes me uneasy. It's like, well, just jump on the board and, it ain't me at all, or, what am I trying to say? I'm not sure what I'm trying to say here. Let's just move on for now. People need grace and forgiveness, and he has proven not to be a good guy over decades. Yeah. Yeah. And I do agree that, yeah, we should have forgiveness and understanding. That's part of why I'm doing this. Like, I want to come to understanding. And with his big long article does paint him in a very good picture. And I realize that Travis has gone through some things and things that I can definitely relate to. So nobody's trying to trick him. We want authenticity and accountability. No more gaslighting and word salad. For example, but he gets pass. Upon top, you understand that we agree with you here. People need to care more about Razor's crap. Yes, I agree. Thanks, Spook. I don't actually want Razors to fail. I want people just to act decently. Yeah, and I think we're all of the same emotion. Pine Top, at least here, what I can tell. Yeah, exactly. Which probably is what most of us want. And sometimes you can't see these things. Like, I mean, I could see myself very well being like this, and I mean, I guess I would like for someone to point that out. I mean, it would be hard for me to swallow for sure, but I mean, I don't want to come off as like this, and I could see how it's easy to kind of get into this this way of thinking and speaking. So yeah, I'm just putting out my feelings, and that's really it. That's really all I can do. Hostemming was insane. Brandon reached out to Peter and got a response. Brandon posted it and made Peter look even worse, and he asked Brandon to take it down, which also doesn't paint a good picture. I don't even really want to get into Peter very much. That is something that I'm not ready to address. And I realize I am by proxy, but yeah. Yeah, Razor's had issues several times in the past. This is true. This whole thing reminds me of Trump calling everyone fake news and witch hunting and doubling down on known lies. And I don't disagree. It does have a feeling of that. I mean, not to that extent, but it does have a similar feeling, and that's what is irking me because it's within our own community. And that's
Conversation, but to say like,
I guess why
I
what scares
walked past
me.
your booth at Winter Clash and I saw this stuff, like, you never came past our booth. You never came and did anything. Like, I think there's a level of dishonesty that's being created, and of course there's some negativity that exists too, and there's some negativity here, but like, we work with Adapt. We love Adapt. I love.
And again, it's like it's, well, not again. It's kind of like the Demetrius thing was a negative thing, and bringing in a negative thought in is something that just happened. So I'm okay. I think I'm okay with like people that do have these attitudes, but if they don't practice what they preach is where I have issue. So even within the zone, it's like, oh, I have problems with this.
Peter and Olga, I know them very personally. I went up to them and said, I want to come and join your brand, even through all this shit, because I know the people that they are, and I know that some of the shit that's happened is not true at all. So, I mean,
it's like to Tree's question, like, I love working with them. Like, I'm in this similar situation with him. I joined in 2020. So after all the stuff happened. And, you know, when all that happened, I looked to the team riders. Like I looked to mainly Julian, Russell, and Sem, because they've been there long time. Like I think Julian's been there since the beginning.
Yeah.
So, and I asked all of them flat out, I'm just like, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And like all of them were like, this has been blown out of proportion, and like it's just chaotic. And so I trust them, and those guys are all my friends, and and Peter and Olga have been dealt a hand, and unfortunately, like it's all like he said, it's he said, she said, and then somewhere in the truth is in the middle. And so the only thing that I can do and we can do as working for Adapt is to always put our best foot forward and be a representative of like integrity, and like just try to show what we can in a positive light. And that's why happy to answer the question.
See, and that's a really good answer, and I really wish that it was kind of just that. Now, and maybe even Travis is trying to do that in different words, but I mean the differentiation in how Travis said it versus or Travis's answer versus John's was or the feeling of those responses was really was a significant difference. And that, I mean, John's answer was definitely more what I was trying to elicit. And it's something I can relate to. And maybe I just can't relate to Travis and his and where he's coming from. But I'll just finish this real quick.
Because, like, it's a very valid question, and we do our best to navigate things. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like some of the negative videos have for sure gotten to me. It's like you're skating, you're at a high level, and you're trying to be a sponsored skater, and then you have to deal with these videos, and it's like I ride for the brand, and then the negative videos, the people in charge of those videos don't even come and even ask me a question about it. I thought that was kind of weird. Like
yeah, I totally can relate to that. Like fucking yeah, it's like getting the negative comments on something you work so hard for has got to be debilitating. I mean, it is for me, and it's hard to keep up with, and it can really take a toll on your psyche. So, I mean, I get that to a certain point. If it's just John in the interview, we would be doing something else. It would, and I mean, it gets us talking about this, which is one of those things. It's one of those PR things, that it does come up a bunch. And again, like I don't intend to be feeling that kind of fire with this. Like my genuine intentions are like, this fucked me up. I want to understand it, basically, and it is a illustration of gaslighting and manipulation that I've experienced. So I want to better understand it, and since it's something relative and timely, or because it's on my mind right now, I want to try to be able to process it. And since you got, it's something you guys can relate to, that is why I wanted to bring it up. Because I knew this was going to be a hard topic to cover, surely. With no real resolve, but I just wanted to put it out there. Julian has been on Adapt since the beginning. Not important though. Travis doesn't know Peter and Olga as well. That's true. This is still a newer relationship. Even if he truly thinks he knows, come on, you don't. Then again, there's so many factors of this that I have no bearing or possible understanding or anything like that. So like, this is just my view on it. I'm sure there are many other things involved that is just impossibly possible for me to see, but it is still a real experience that I had to go through, and it made me really uncomfortable. And to everyone, Kat, keeping it real, keeping it civil is another reason why I love this community. I agree. And yeah, hopefully we can just be honest and also kind of question everybody's whatchamacallit and make sure everybody's in the right place. And maybe we're at least I'm pretty sure everybody's trying to be in the right place. Whether or not we are is well, that's subjective, but still.
I want
me
some of these people
everything to be
know me
better.
personally, it's like, hey, a quick reach out doesn't hurt, but that's just how it is. And I'm not going to say them making videos is wrong. You're entitled to make any video that you want. That's the freedom we have, and that's what's great about media, because like we can do things and spread new ideas and help grow things, etc. But like sometimes this is how we're, in my opinion, social media and even like, I don't know what you call your vlogging, or what is it? What is
I just call it trash. Is all I call
trash? You're trash. Okay.
no, but he's like
I'm very confused about why Ben said that as well, and I think that might be a just indication of kind of the negative energy that's in the that's going on at the moment. Because yeah, that seemed very unlike Ben as well. Matt's here. Trey, you definitely understand narcissistic abuse. People do not know the tip of the MPD iceberg. Covert narcissism is very real. It is very real and more prevalent than people realize. Some who aren't claimed to be, and that is also a thing. And it does make me feel comfortable, but there's not much that can be done for that, as far as I know.
Streamer.
Unfortunately.
I'm so bad at this. But it's like this is sometimes a little bit of the negative side to it, unfortunately. But
Sure.
You look, clickbait gets views.
It could be because of Ben.
Dramatic titles.
He could just be joking, but still,
It's just,
Ben is humble.
Everybody's here for a story and they want it, but like, in all honesty, to everybody who's on this call, like, there's a lot that can be done from the journalistic side of this, and there's a lot of stories that have been spread that aren't complete or have been falsified. And I think there's a lot of missing stuff, and a lot of people have honestly like put them to a cross and said like, you guys are the Antichrist and everything's wrong with you and your brand. Like, I've seen other brands do crazy shit too, and I'm not here to cast stones.
I mean, but if these things keep on happening, there's definitely reasons for them. It's not a microcosm, I'd say, and I would hope that we're, as a community, we're not being bullies, and it doesn't feel like it. So.
And glass house, like that kind of thing. It's, the reality is like there's a lot more here, but they're just trying to press forward. Like,
but what Whoopi just said, yes, that's.
And again, it would be nice just to focus on that, like pressing forward. But maybe it does need some self-depreciation. It could be too. Yeah.
That's exactly what we're saying. Like, they are making the necessary steps to make things positive, and that this kind of stuff won't happen again, because again, like, they are some of the best people in picking who they know will be a good representative of ADAPT. They've learned over the years. In the beginning, they had so many people just wanting to ride for them, and then they realized, they're like, we can't just have anybody on the team. Like, we have to have people who are like-minded and like want to grow, but not, you get this type of person that just wants to get cash in and get out. That happens a lot in skating, and like, that's not ADAPT. Like, ADAPT is like, you're in it for the long haul, and like, we're a company that's a slow growing thing. They're not a company that's going to be like, hey, I made you a pro skate, here's your $50,000 of royalties, like, go in. That's not realistic. And so,
and I think those were yeah, like John's got it fine, and I think I do believe John. I do believe that ADAPT is trying to get get a better image and do better in itself, and with what it's available to it. I think the uneasiness does come from this, is like trying to paint ADAPT as a victim. And there's I guess little signs of learning from that, and accountability as well. It's tempting to judge as part of human nature. I actually feel bad for John, because he had to deal with a shitty boss a long time before, and yeah, it's true. And John has some past. I don't know if want to say traumas, but fucking things that were not ideal by any means. And now he's have to answer for a new boss. And that's how the world works sometimes, unfortunately. And you just get stuck from similar position to something similar. I don't know. Those are dangerous words. Wait, which one are there?
So like, I think what has happened in the past is some riders just haven't had clear expectations of what was going to happen. And so now, you know, even before I rode for them, Peter like laid out what the expectations were and what he could do for me. Like he laid it all out because he's like, hey, I don't want any negative issues. I don't want any, you know, problems down the road. And that was amazing. Like that's honestly every company owner should do that with their riders. Like lay out a set of expectations and say, this is what I can do for you. This is how I can help you. And this is how I can help, you know, you achieve your goals. And that's all you can do. And at the end of the day, like blading, you know, there's a lot of negativity around the videos around Adapt, but at the end of the day, like, hey, it's helping blading grow because it's helping blading companies look at how they treat riders and make sure that they're treating them in the right light. So
Yeah.
you know,
I'll just say the last.
That's a weird comment. It's weird the negative comments are making it grow, but I mean, it's probably accurate. The amount someone is able to grow completely determine how much truth about themselves they're willing to accept. There's definitely if AA is any indication of that, that is true. I think how Depth has been really good to John, maybe Jaibot too. That might be it. I can't speak to how they've been treated or individuals have been treated. I have no idea
We keep
to not to that
the last
extent.
part to close it out is like we don't get paid to do this. Like John does off his royalties, but like we're not getting paychecks for doing any of this. And every morning we wake up and we choose the fights we want to fight and where we want to be. And every morning we wake up and like Peter and Olga are very close friends of ours, and we continue to proceed forward with Adapt because like we believe in what it is. We know a lot of the truth of what's out there and what kind of went on, and like it doesn't align with the people who we know, and it doesn't align with the reality of what happened. Like that's the whole reason we're here. Like it is a polarizing image and it's tough, but a lot of brands have gone through similar things and had similar issues. And I don't know what it is about, you know, to vilify Adapt. Like if the goal is to push them out of skating, like I'll be honest, you guys almost did it. Like there was a really good chance that like they were going to fold and just walk away. Like I don't know if I should even say this, but like when I gained access to the social media accounts, like some of the shit, like prohibited words that I saw blocked, like some of the stuff some people said to that brand and the people behind it who are passionate and care about it, like straight up, you guys are fucking monsters. Like that's the reality. Like to not know the truth and just to vilify someone like that was pretty shit. But
I mean, that sounds like gaslighting to me. And again, we're really speculating here. He basically is saying people are lying. I mean, pretty much is what my understanding of it is, and it's just so weird to me. And yeah, I don't really want to be talking about this. But I feel like I want to talk about this because otherwise I'm just gonna like let it boil inside of me, and that's not healthy at all. And yeah, I probably should actually talk to. Now, I mean, it would be good to talk to Travis about this, but I don't really have the capacity to do that. So I'm just trying to understand. I'm in my own public whatchamacallit, which is strange. All right, let's go ahead and let's finish this out.
On the other side of it, and we're continuing to grow and we're continuing to push, and like things are changing with the brand, and you know, like this skate is unfortunately like coming to an end, but they're here for the long haul. They're here for the investment. They believe in what it is, and John and I and the rest of the team believe in who they are. So that's the truth.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I don't. I have issues with that because I don't. That is not the truth to me. It might be the truth in their eyes, Travis's eyes. That doesn't seem like the truth. The as true as I can understand truth being truth. He has strong feelings, and a lot of them are backed by his experience. And we will look into a little bit of that, hopefully. And this is a safe space. I hope it can be. I hope it can be. I would think that there's some validity to how the writers were treated, given that Bill Stoppard quit writing for Adapt over their behavior. And yeah, I mean there are a significant amount of stories that involved Adapt and their practices that lead to people wanting to avoid them. So whatchamacallit? Can we check the hammock? I'm not ready for that. I still need to get over this, Adam. I know.
Cool.
I as much as I
alright,
don't want to,
we're almost
I need to
out of time.
process this. Okay. One quick thing. This is just a quick example I came across. Maybe this is just
I
him.
don't think ever benefited blading, and I wanted to do something better. I always wanted to build a better solution than roller news, and that was like what I set out to do. So I had met with Dan. Dan is actually one of the other moderators on the rollerblading Reddit, and him and I came up with this idea to build Blader Union. And Blader Union exists in that space that Roller News did, but what we wanted to do is remove the black hole of money just disappearing out of rollerblading and find a way to take all the money coming in and funnel it back into rollerblading. And so we don't do ads currently. I know 3 years ago it was different, but we don't do ads. We don't do, any kind of thing where you can just pay us money for your content to be hosted. All we do is crowdfunding from people. So if you wanted to be a part of it, you'd go to patreon.com/BladerUnion.
I think I missed it.
For however much you feel you can contribute, and all the money we take in, we pay people for what they do. So we pay
This is really cool.
We pay for articles, we pay for everything. BMAG and Wheel Scene and a couple other places.
So that was a really cool point. I just want to put out, like, that was really, and it's a really, really cool thing that he does and that he did with Blader Union.
They exist in that custom content realm. BMAG has a little bit of the news feed in it as well. Wheel Scene sometimes does too. But we try and not step on anybody else's toes. We try and be a complement to those things. So when there's pressing things that should be shared among everyone, we try and put it all together. Like, we want rollerblading to be.
So I have issue with that is because you brought up BMAG and Wheel Scene, and he's like, well, we don't do that. But he's also saying we don't step on people's toes, which he's quite frankly stepping on their toes in that same sentence. So that's one of those things that's like, oh, come on, Travis, you had such a good thing going. Don't put others down when you don't need to put other people or entities down when you're trying to make a point. Kind of just stick in your own lane kind of thing would be nice from my opinion. All right, so there's this big long thing that he wrote, which is extremely insightful. Okay, Tree, got you. All right, Tree, I'm glad you made a point to address something honestly, and that's really all I want to do, and all I try to do is be honest. And again, like I don't have like a formula. My mind is yellow. It is not a solid, like, oh, this is how it is kind of thing. I'm glad that I brought this up, especially with like Adam and people who know, to get a little bit different perspective on the matter. I smeared Zamora years ago too. Wait, who did? Or just in general? Because I remember Zamora did have a bad time with the media and such. I think with K, was it with K2 or was it just other things? But yeah, Zamora wasn't in the best light at a certain time, and then that can happen. And I'm also, that's also fear. It's a fear that could happen to me too. I mean, although I guess I'm kind of getting a little bit more like, oh, you know what? If people don't like me, I mean, they're just not gonna like me. And maybe that's what Adapt is taking. I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do and not turn, put my head down and strive forward. And maybe that's the approach they're taking. I just think it needs to be, that's fine. I think it just needs to be represented a little bit better. And instead of putting down journalists, putting down Demetrius George for some reason, and Mike Lilly. I don't recall Mike Lilly. He did work his ass off. He fucking worked his ass off like a motherfucker. And so I know that Travis has the heart for sure. And does great things. And again, I think that's part of why I'm getting thrown off so much by it, because he has done a lot of respectable things and been very selfless for for the sport. Sure, definitely. I do not want to discount that. I feel like Peter is a guy loves the smell of his own farts. It's possible. Adapt smeared Zamora, was he even on the radar when they started? Yeah, I don't think that was an adapt thing. I think maybe that's just kind of like a relative thing. Bring back the beanbag forums. Oh man. Although I mean, I guess we do live in a better world than the beanbag forums. Although maybe not. I mean, things were very open. I'm very curious as to like what the world would be like had we have the what if the BMAC forums existed at this point in time. When yeah, with all of our current media outlets, hope they go out of business. Those are strong words. You said they smeared Louis. I didn't know if you meant Adapt or Blader Union. They sent him skates wanting him to join the team years ago, and he made a short comeback. He didn't like the skates, and Peter got triggered. Adapt did. Is there documentation about this? And that's the thing too. Like, fuck, a lot of this stuff is just stories and words. And to know the truest in its truest form is difficult or impossible. Too many stories about Peter, for not to be some amount of truth behind it. And that's a stance that I am behind, because I do hear a lot of negative experiences with him, and it's unfortunate for those people to have had those negative experiences. Peter Cobb's a super pompous, even the videos that he produces himself for Adapt. I don't actually watch those. I can't. You're good, Tree. You should keep doing what you're doing. It does come across as us against them, and them being the rest of the blading community. Yeah, and I don't think we should be. I would like us to not be separated. I mean, it does seem like very. I mean, this whole thing, what I'm doing now, does seem very corporate or political in nature. And I mean, and even just the what really, I mean, and I think what really like triggered my fucking whatever senses to go off was like this setting right here. It's like, oh Jesus, like I feel like I'm back. I haven't worked in an office for over a year, and I felt like I was back in the office, like having to deal through these meetings that are a lot of words, or a lot of empty words and things like that. Especially marketing meetings where it's like, oh, we, it's really like this, but we got to tell the people this. A lot of manipulation. It's like, oh, this is actually going on, but we'll kind of word it like this. So it's like, but I do have a feeling that they're definitely, or not definitely, but I have a strong feeling that they are better than where they used to be. Let's get some music at least. I refuse to believe that Travis is a bad guy. I just don't buy it. I don't think Travis is a bad guy either. I just would like not to feel. I don't want to listen to him and feel like, man, Travis, what's going on, buddy? Facebook roller. I want to be able to go to a session and Travis be there and just give him a dap and enjoy the session really. And this is just something that's given me pause. And then again, this is a lot of it stems from my own narcissistic abuse. Totally, and that's why I feel so strongly about this, that I don't want to I don't want it to exist in our community if at all possible. I don't think I have much control over that at all, but I can at least share my opinions and my understandings of what's going on. He just needs to know when to turn the filter on. I believe that. You can find some more talking about his experience on RV rollerblading. Oh, damn. Okay, I'm not saying Travis is a bad guy. I'm saying Peter is. Travis is working with defending on the wrong side. And I don't discount that as a possibility. And if that's the case, I don't really know. I don't have any part in the first place, so I'm already making that offense, one could say. But I did feel compelled to do this for one reason or another. 100% Tree felt very corporate, and sounds like from everyone here, fences can be mended. Nobody wants hostility in a small community. Yeah, I think we can definitely grow. And it wasn't even a big bad offense, honestly. I'm sure it went under the radar for most people. But it's one of those things where like it did set off a red flag for me, and I wanted to understand it so I don't just fucking let it build up inside me and tear my body apart, which this will get into a lot of things, hopefully. I hear that, and I've dealt with narcs myself. Just know that if suddenly, for example, people start attacking Tree just per se, we're first to give them the benefit of the doubt life has taught. All right, Tree is the world. Rollerblading is the new BMAG forms. Life has taught me that. And again, like I would appreciate, like, fuck, if I'm acting out of line, like even just slip, like fucking, I would actually appreciate people to be like, hey, whoa, that's a weird way to think. You might want to rethink that, you know. So I in a sense, I'm kind of saying like, yeah, if I was in this situation, I would like this, even though it would be really hard to swallow. I can certainly understand that, but yeah, I guess I'm doing that as a friend. Tree's outwardly amazing. Everyone has good stories about Tree. Not the same for Peter. You notice no one's saying that though, right? I do appreciate Adam's perspective. It's very nice to have Adam here with his knowing him personally. 100% Tree. Conflict delayed is conflict multiplied. I don't bite my tongue anymore and bottle up. If something seems rotten, it's worth talking about. Exactly, and it just seems off. And just letting it seem off is just gonna multiply. Right, exactly, and it's just not good. So let's read this. I thought this was very insightful, and it does give hopefully me and anybody else there a little bit better understanding of what of some things that Travis has been through, and I echo a lot of these emotions. So Blade Reunion, words by Travis Stewart. The Changing of the Seasons by Travis Stewart. I need to put this into words because this has been cycling in my head for far too long without giving it the gravity it rightfully deserves. I'm sorry in advance for the wall of text, but I need to do this for me. And I'm reading this because this is public, and I do appreciate this too. I want to take a step back before I take a step forward. For Christmas in 1992, I was gifted my first pair of skates. Bright yellow and black rollerblade Veriflex. Hold on, let me turn this down a little bit. This is annoying, this music. Okay. Little did I know that nearly 30 years later, I'd still be waking up every day thinking about putting wheels under my feet. These silly plastic shoes have taken me around the U.S., from coast to coast, around the world, to places my impoverished family would have only seen in films and photographs. These silly toys would give me a sense of belonging, a home, a feeling of being whole for nearly as long as I can remember. And I think a lot of us can reflect on that. A lot of us can relate to that. In the late summer of 2002, during the longest and only true break I ever took from skating, it had been nearly 7 months since I had last put skates on my feet. I had no real interest in skating at the time. The 6-year-old me was starting to discover life outside the walls of my home and family. I would surf in the morning, hang out with my friends in the afternoon, and come home later in the evening. I was developing my own personal style, exploring the music I started to like, and while I still wasn't driving, living in a coastal community meant I could ride my bike around everywhere on the flat, smooth pavement. I have to choose your own battles and know when and what to say, especially if you're a public-facing owner of a company. I agree. It is. I mean, being professional is a different standard. This article is good, and he lays it all out there. Been a while, but I don't recall any gaslighting. No, I don't recall any gaslighting here either. And that's this is a point that I wanted to make. Like, this was an honest, genuine. He does have some struggles. But there are struggles that I echo. So let's continue. I remember this day more vividly than any other day in my life. I came home and my dad was sitting in the living room, which was rather odd at the time. The two of us hadn't really spoken in several weeks, if not several months. I remember he asked me if I could talk with him that evening because he had some things he wanted to say to me. I begrudgingly agreed, being the 16-year-old punk kid who only wanted to rebel, but I took a shower, changed, and settled in for a talk with my dad because I figured whatever it was important for me, was important enough for him to say. After getting ready, I strolled to the front of our house and into the room where he was staying in at the time. My father was laying in a hospice bed with an oxygen line under his nose and trying his best to muster the strength to talk to me. For nearly my entire life, he'd been sick with some form of cancer and went through several bouts of chemo, surgery, and other treatments to eradicate it from his body. Each time stopping it from progressing or shrinking it down, but never fully winning the war. This was different this time, though. For my whole life, my dad was an inspiration to me. His strength kept our family going when times were tough. When we lost our house due to his bullheadedness and spent a few months living in a tent in a campground, he kept working. He kept our spirits up. He never gave in. 2 days after one of his cancer surgeries, I can remember being on a roller coaster at SeaWorld with him, catching as this indestructible man got beat around so he could show his son and family a rare good time out where that wasn't free. No meat on his bones, just getting rattled to pieces. Tonight I saw a man who was broken, fragile, defeated. We started to awkwardly converse about what's going on, what I've been up to, and a number of things that have escaped my memory over the years because they really weren't important details. I remember the conversation coming to a head when he brought up the skating, though. He asked me, "Why don't you skate anymore? You're damn good at it. I don't understand why you quit." I made up some excuse that it was lame and I wasn't interested in doing it anymore or didn't have friends to skate with. He said, "It's like you're dancing on air," which prompted me to respond with, "That's exactly why I don't do it, because that's lame." "Look, you gotta own it," he said. "I'm the greatest damn roofer to ever live. I know everything you've got to know about roofing. I can estimate a roof from just a glance. I know what materials you need, how much it'll cost, and what the timeline to get it done will be. I know it because I worked my ass off for a lifetime to do the best at what I do. You should do that in whatever you want to put your mind to. Be the best. Don't stop till you get there." We continued to talk about skating, about life, about love, and about a number of other subjects, but always going back to his credo he imbued into me. I remember still having a chip on my shoulder, but understanding what he was telling me. I knew this was important to him to tell me these things. And anytime he ever gave me advice, I'd listen. No matter how frustrated I might have been, I'd listen. I gave him a hug and I told him I loved him and headed to the bed. I woke up the next morning by mom. She had tears in her eyes and only said, "Dad didn't make it last night." I took my time getting things up, changing my clothes, and making my way back across our house to his room. I wasn't hurt or sad or lost. I just remember the feeling of existing in that moment, nothing more. When I entered the room, there he was, eyes closed, empty, hollow, and at rest. I walked across the room and placed my hand on the chest of the strongest person I ever knew and felt the empty shell that was left. It absolutely broke me, even writing this, fighting through the tears as it breaks me to this day. The feeling of empty when I touched him was the most desolate and hollow feeling I ever felt in my life. And I knew that he was forever gone. To never hear his voice, to listen to his wisdom, or to see him walk the halls again. He was gone. I knew that he was on as long as he could have this one last conversation with his only son, and once he did, he didn't need to fight anymore. The words he gave me the night before amplified in weight and volume around my head. Let me go ahead and share the link to this with anybody who's curious. I do read this because he did put this out there. It is public. And he shared this, which takes a lot of bravery to even to the point where we've gotten so far. Here's this thing. Travis truly believed the words he was saying. I thought he was presenting. Then he's being manipulated by Peter too, which sucks if that's the case. At this point, I'm over here to say, not my business, not my problem. I want to say that, but I've already started. So this does two things. It does correlate to the kind of mental health thing we talk about on this stream. And I feel that this does make Travis very, very human. and it's very relatable. And I have a lot of things that I'm also experiencing that he expresses in this article. So it's still it's a good article. I guess I would want to say, like, just push aside anything else. Try to push aside anything else that is going, current, of anything else even I've previously said. Like, I'm gonna try to throw that out and come in with a fresh perspective here. Because I know that the things, even the question that I proposed was not, I wouldn't say ideal, but it comes with heavy emotions. When the M's came and took him away, I remember seeing all the prying eyes of people around the house coming out to watch the spectacle of white cloth over a body on a stretcher, guided by a family in mourning. I felt like a circus animal put on display for someone else's pleasure. I was just 16 years old, and I didn't know what to do or where to go. My mind was just awash. But instincts seemed to take over me. I ventured into my closet, found my USD Cyrus skates, and just headed out to my local skate shop, Skate Bomb. I didn't know why, but deep down, this is what I knew I needed to do. I'll keep reading. So started my climb every day, every hour. I wasn't in school or working. I would skate. I'd get to Kona Skate Park at 10 a.m. when the doors open. I'd leave at 10 p.m. when they close, 7 days a week. I let skating consume me. I started to get better and better and better, just like the words he provided me. Don't stop till you're the best at something, so keep climbing. And those are powerful words. I started competing in contests, and I left Florida behind in 2004 to move to Portland for a change of scenery. I enrolled in college, bought a Canon GL2, Century Mark 2.3X fisheye, and a G4 MacBook with Final Cut Pro. I started to learn to film and edit. I started to skate bigger handrails and do bigger tricks. I started to travel around the state and pick up my friends to go skating and filming with. I got a steady job, but still skated in all my free time. I started competing in bigger contests, and even bigger contests. I flew back to Florida in late 2004 to compete in RFCC World Finals and made it to the semifinals against some of the biggest pros in the world. I kept climbing. That's great. I came home from the event on the highest high you could be on. I just got my new pair of rims, and I knew me and those fresh white Happy 04 LEs were going to go the distance. I was skating at a higher level than I had ever before. I owned every park, ramp, ledge, and rail in front of me. My style was starting to come into its own, and everything was lining up that I had worked so hard for in the last 3.5 years towards. I was at the Newburgh skate park and just blasting as fast as I could around everything. I came around the park and hit a huge opposite mute grab 360 over this roller. My world came to a stop. When I fell from the sky, I landed just slightly overrated. My ankle folded and shattered under me as I came down to the ground. I laid on the ground pleading for help as it felt like everything I worked towards was over. And that's already hard. I appreciate you embarking on the journey, Tree. It's always good to figure out how to make things right in your mind. Thank you. And I know I appreciate the appreciation, and I am taking sort of a selfish perspective at the expense here of Travis and to a lesser extent Adapt. But maybe it does give. It will help people give, a little bit more introspective onto where Travis is coming from. Because I do see a lot of myself within the story he joined. Quick recap for those who just joined. I'm concerned about gaslighting, potentially from Travis in his Adapt interview today with Ben. And I'm trying to get a better understanding of what and why, and to hopefully calm my nerves, because it's caused me some shambles. I want to figure out why. I grew up with a narcissist parent. Manipulation and being taken advantage of is the worst and breaches trust. It can be hard to decipher what is true or not in those situations. And and that's what it's really hard to when you don't know when your world is what's real or what's not anymore. It's just an awful place to be in, because you can't, you've been told so many things, and it's hard to gather what's really the case and what's not, and your whole sense of reality does get just diminished because narcissists is so good at convincingly bending the truth. Yeah. Narcissists also ensure that your feelings are never validated. And yeah, that's the hard part about it too. It's like, fuck, are these feelings really real, or is this something that's been implanted into me? It's like I feel this way, but I'm being told this, and then now I feel this way. So it's harsh. Gaslighting is a big narcissistic trait. Indeed, it is. Who's being gaslight? I would say that, I guess me personally, I feel gaslit in this situation. But as a consumer, I feel like as a consumer, I feel like I'm being lied to. Damn, if you hung out with Travis for a day or two, you would get it. All right, and yeah, Adam's really pushing home that Travis is not necessarily what the image I'm getting, but I guess what I'm getting at is like, I don't want to give him this image. Hopefully we can give him more of an accurate one if possible. Especially it's like I trust you, Adam, so I trust what you're saying there. And to level set, I'm not saying anyone is on today's topic is a narcissist, just drawing out some personal stories. Yeah, and this is reflection. Not to say he's right, but yeah, I mean that's the thing too. It's like if we can get a better idea of these things, I feel like they don't seem as it seems easier to process. We're trying to convince people of. I have no clue what is going on. I guess I'm trying to figure out Travis as a person. And understand why he would say things that I don't understand. And here, just coming from personal experience with narcissist gaslighting. I was on the absolute verge of killing myself about a year and a half ago when I thought I'd ruined the best relationship I've ever had. Someone who convinced me soulmates were real, and that was us. And yeah, I still have a death wish, Sean. And I definitely had one, a much greater one previously, and that's part of why I'm digging into this stuff. It's like I don't want to have a death wish anymore because when things like this hurt me, and I just don't talk about it, I think that I'm pretty sure that adds to me not wanting to live anymore. Certainly. So you know what, if I want to die already, might as well talk about this shit, and maybe I want to die less. Which is an extreme place to go, but it is definitely real for a lot of people that I've found. The narcissist label gets thrown around a lot these days, and there are a lot of people with narcissist traits. I know a bunch with several traits, and probably 2 who were actual narcs. And yeah, and that's the thing. I've been trying to avoid the label of narcissist, and especially I don't want to make a misdiagnosis of NPD, narcissistic pathological disorder, which is a real disorder that is on the DSM-5 too, I believe. So yeah, I've been trying to avoid using narcissists if possible. I'm pretty sure that I've said it, and so I'm really just trying to get to address this situation as far as gaslighting and manipulation is relative to victims of narcissism can be triggered by things that are even what they feel like. And yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And yeah, it is coming from my experience of narcissistic abuse, and it has been triggered. Not to say that this situation necessarily is involving narcissism, and I don't want to make that distinction. But the elements of gaslighting is something that I do kind of want to point that out, because I think as a community, I don't think it's right that we get treated like that also. Yeah, and I can say that as a skater, as an Instagrammer, and it's partly a very, very loose terminology. I would consider myself a journalist. I feel like that those were very unwarranted comments, and I don't want those. I would prefer those to not continue within our community, definitely. So I am taking this from sort of a justice sort of perspective too, I guess you could imagine, or it could be taken as that way. What's said about rollerblading? I just need to rewind the stream. Here's what started it for anybody who's just joining in. And it what started it for me. And this is really what I'm having issue with.
Professionalism that comes with some people, and like Demetrius George is one of the most wild people I've ever seen on skates. But like, does anybody ever like hang out with him and he's just like kicks it at the skate park with people? Like, I don't really see that all that often, and that's not a knock towards him. That's just not his MO. But like, this guy right here is like, he goes to countries with his skates, and people still to this day DM him and like, oh man, you remember when you were here? It'd be so sick if you come back. Or they send him messages.
And I mean, Demetrius went to other countries with the skates and skated with people, and then he got hurt. But I mean, yeah, like that's where I have issue, is that fucking Demetrius has nothing at all to do with this shit. Fucking to bring him into it and to put him down, that feels very wrong to me. And it's almost too casual in a sense to be worded that way. So yeah, that's. Here, we can finish the last of it.
My country, like, I'll give you anything. Like, it'd be so cool to have you. Like, when he was on Razors, people reached out and made him go to Colombia. Like, it's just like, that's how it is. Like, that's what you can do as a pro in this industry, is you can create the next generation of skaters. And what we have a lot of right now is pros who don't want to do that, or people who are representatives of brands who don't want to do that, and they kind of want to create this like self-image, and it's unfortunate. And we're creating this walled gate around rollerblading where no one wants to come in. We all love what we do. Spread the love with someone else. Like, make more people.
All right, two things. He said nobody wants to commit. Like, he's really putting rollerblading community as a whole down. Like, hey, nobody wants to commit. Maybe we do, but nobody else wants to commit, is what I kind of gather from that statement. And also the fact that he's speaking on John's behalf. I don't feel like that's right either. He's speaking. All these these people from other companies or other countries are hitting up John. He's not speaking about himself. Yeah, and that's it really.
And if you're complaining that it's not good enough in rollerblading, do something.
And I think that's that's it. That's really it. So like, yeah, like that is really what just set me off. Like, whoa, this is not chill, not chill at all. We'll catch up real quickly. Damn, John, that must have been brutal. Luckily, I had a good friend to talk to when I was at that breaking point, and I have good, strong emotional intelligence, and I was able to figure out who I was with didn't exist, sadly. And yeah, I've not really had, I don't have a lot of outlets to kind of get this shit out there. I mean, I have therapy, but you can only get so much. So, yeah, I am kind of reaching out as for help too in this situation, similar to what John's doing with fraud the whole time. I realized it was the fraud the whole time. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, Sean. Side note, suicide is no joke. I appreciate y'all to lose any of you. Call me day or night if you need to talk. You are important and deserve to be happy. Thank you, Spook. I very much appreciate that. And yeah, if you are experiencing issues with suicidality, yeah, I would highly recommend reaching out to somebody you feel safe to talk to with. Because it's something that is it's an extreme amount of emotion that should be processed, and it's weird for me to talk about it so casually, but it's very real for a lot of people, and for a lot of people that I talk to, that they don't want to live this life anymore, and I kind of feel it's like feelings like these that I'm experiencing today is a big part of that. Yeah, I would like people to want to live. I would like for myself to want to live. So this is part of that process, which is extreme. But yeah, and like I said, it does flip your entire world upside down. You don't know what to make sense of anything. And Jordan's echoing what Spook says, and he met him. I'll do 2 things: respond to YouTube comments and be there to chat. Word. Thank you, Jordan as well. Fix you up on time. You have to find things worth living for, and yeah, that's what I've been working on too, and also trying to get rid of things that prohibit my life, which is feeling like this. I feel like feels like Travis was twisted. Tree, I appreciate you doing this, speaking up to work through thoughts. It helps others, speaking from personal experience. I hope so. I mean, I hope I can help others in trying to help myself. Yeah, this was a strange comparison and totally unwarranted. Yeah, why even being Demetrius Jordan? Just a non-source. So I'm not the only one who has these, these feelings towards this statement. People say weird stuff they shouldn't say regularly. And I realize too, that's a good point. Like, it's got to be nerves too. It's like, Travis has been in the spotlight before, but it's a lot of pressure to be on, and sometimes you say things you don't mean. So it's like I still want to give him I still very much want to give Travis the benefit of the doubt here. And also, yeah, if I put this out, I guess people aren't going to watch some more young kids. So yeah, it's like hopefully this, maybe he just keeps this in check a little bit more, because yeah, that I honestly don't think that I think I would assume that Travis has a high respect for Demetrius, and it's not the best example, but it's what came to him at the time. But yeah, I mean, if I said that, I would definitely want to apologize to Demetrius if I were to say something like that, because I wouldn't mean it. Maybe I'm trying to prove a point here, but yeah, that was not a good way to prove a point. Bad warning for sure, us against them, but hopefully he considers the feedback from Ben's chat. I hope so too. I hope so. No one's gatekeeping rollerblading. I think most kids don't even know you can grind on skates, and that's the thing. It's like, yeah, those aren't true statements, or maybe they came from a skewed place. This was very weird too for a guy representing the Adapt. He's talking about how we need to be inviting, not clicky, bring kids in the sport while pushing declared $1,500 masterpieces. Yeah, there's irony in that, certainly. Kids relate to more younger skaters than 40-year-olds in midlife crisis. But how many skates are they selling? It's not like Adapt is some cash cow. And that's the thing. They are small. I have wanted to off myself, but I have wanted to no longer exist. If that makes sense. I've struggled. I haven't wanted to struggle with it recently. Yeah, I have struggled with that too. And we could certainly talk about that more. I do want to finish this, certainly. But yeah, it is a problem. It's a very, especially within the neurodiverse community. I mean, even especially with suicide rates being astronomically higher than comparison to not neurotypical people, but also yeah, just the wanting to no longer exist. It seems extremely prevalent within all the neurodiverse research and communication that I've been doing lately, and it's sad, and I don't have the answers to these things, but yeah, I don't want this to feel this way, and I really wish for other people. I really wish that they didn't have to suffer and have these feelings as well. Adapt is clicky because it's ultra premium and not relatable to most skaters. Coping with pain is hard, very much hard, and it has to be processed. And this is the part of the journey that I'm trying to understand. This pain needs to be processed, and rest is something. Real, true to life rest is something that definitely has been helping with this. I know I'm definitely grabbing for words here, but I wouldn't be surprised if him and Demetrius are brothers. So I wouldn't be surprised either, but I agree, Jordan. Feeling nothing dead inside is just as bad. I'm stuck there, and excuse me, because it is a little bit difficult to manage all these conversations at the same time. Because yeah, it's one thing like talking about Travis, and another thing to be talking about not wanting to live anymore. This is where things go when we talk about mental health, and it's hard, and it's not to say that And it's relevant too because it does. I don't know if the suicidality or not wanting to do this comes up, but I think it does come into play with this story. So let me just catch up real quick, and I will continue onwards reading this article from Travis. Finding an outlet helps. That's skating for me. I'm glad you have that, Jordan. I feel like I don't have any input to contribute to this chat. Like I sympathize with depression, but I have absolutely no clue what you all go through, and I respect that position very much and understanding very much, Matt. I think you have to reach out to loved ones when you are in pain, even if it's just for a simple lunch, coffee, no heavy stuff. And also, I think, it's nice to be able to reach out more when you're not in pain, to kind of prevent the pain, which would be ideal in my mind. Anyways, let's continue on with this. 2 surgeries and 4 months later, I went back to Newburgh to get revenge on that trick. With fire in my eyes, I dropped in and sent a misty flip up and over the gap with a firm "fuck you" as I stuck the landing and rolled away. I went back and reset and decided to one-up my previously failed 360 by sending a bigger 540 over the gap this time. As I started to come back towards the ground from my rotation, my world again grinded to a halt. I laid on the ground with my hands on the back of my head and arms over my face, feeling that I truly hit the end of my career. My left ankle was now shattered exactly the same way my right was only 4 short months ago. After rotating my spin in a nearly identical way as the last crash on this same ramp. The injury was a pivot for me. I knew I wasn't meant to be or was going to be the best skater in the world. And while also acknowledging that this was around the peak time of the kill yourself skating era, so I did what I do best. I took a moment and I adapted to the problem in front of me. I started focusing more on work and instead just for skating for fun. I still competed and still skated super hard and still was successful, but it wasn't the only thing I devoted my life towards. I focused more into the industry side of things and working to help foster our culture and events. I'm not going to meander through every detail between the injury and today, but it's important to this narrative to explain how I got to this moment. This is written by Travis Stewart, the person in the video previously. So fast forward to 2016. I have a serious career as an engineer for a world-renowned website company. I traveled for skating events still, but this time getting paid utilizing my unlimited PTO, which is great. I mean, that's fantastic news. I've got a good paying job and overall life is pretty good. Sure, it's got challenges here and there, but holistically, it's good. Daniel and I started tinkering with the idea of what would become Blader Union in late spring of 2016. It would take us nearly a year before we'd roll out our plans and bring to life what we thought was the final push needed to unify all the skating back under one roof. We could do it bigger, better, and more aligned than anyone in the past. My connections, skills, and development background would only further help us succeed. This was my path to be the best at something. So Daniel and I started to build, and he does seem like a very, a competitive person. Going back to like his dad's, it's like be the best at it, and I do think that he took that to heart, and he's competitive. So I see that nature, and I could see what he said previously as kind of like a competitive thing. Like, I want to be better than all the rest of these things. And I don't think that's so bad. And that kind of makes me feel better. Reading that does make me feel better about it. In May 2017, Blader Union launched to the world. It was a labor of love, a work in progress, and more so, something I felt like I could give back to the skating community for the years it's given me. Hours a day were invested into the site. Late night phone calls, new skills learned, apps developed. It was a stressful but necessity for success. We pushed every day to better our vision and our work from the day before. And each time our reach grew, our followers bloomed, and our vision became more focused. So we pressed on. I flew across oceans to events on my own dime to stream live videos to people who couldn't join us. I spent hours on calls with people interviewing them about their outlook on skating. I worked closely with some of the biggest pros in our industry to promote and share their visions with the world. I sacrificed myself into the world to bring this all to life. I did this because I believe in the idea of what Blader Union was doing. I believed in the future of Daniel and I's brand, our vision, and our evolving success. All the while not watching my own back for what was looming just out of reach. These last several years have been challenging for everyone across the globe in many different ways. With the public rebirth of fascist ideology in the free world, the murders of innocent people at the hands of those who sworn to protect us, the polarization and manipulation of people through social media, the world feels more disjointed than ever. I'm not here to argue about your beliefs or what you support or not from the above sentence. I'm sharing my feelings and how they've impacted me and my world. I've had too many sleepless nights worried about the future of freedom in my country, my friends, my life, my job, myself. I've worried myself to the point of just fully breaking under the stress. And yeah, I mean, it sounds like he went through, he's going through some shit. And I respect, him being open about it. Certainly. To continue. Oh, and this was September 13th of 2021 is when this was published. Just to give you an idea of timeline here. Last year, for my 35th birthday, I decided to remove all my social media from my life. I backed up all my data from the various social sites and apps and hit the delete button for what I assumed would be the final time. I did this because I was personally disgusted in how much social media had infiltrated my life. With everyone's overinflated exaggerations of how glamorous their lives were, or how much every single person needed to say everything that was on their mind, all the time. This echo chamber of vanity was an enticing siren for so many people, with the allure of fame calling them even louder. I didn't want to fake it anymore. I didn't want more stories or tweets or posts or likes, shoutouts, tags, upvotes, anything. I just wanted some fucking silence for once. When I could no longer walk between both worlds, I decided to willingly leave them behind for my own good. And I think that this kind of starts to give a better representation of like where he's at in relation to this comment that we're talking about. And I do reflect I do reflect a lot of this sentiment towards social media. It's that it's really consuming, and that I know I'm part of it, but it does. In a sense, like social media is kind of the true manipulator. It is just the nature of the beast. And it, you could look at it as gaslighting and seeing like these lives that are really unattainable and they don't actually exist too. So to get back to that point, and his point about social media is that it is hideous. And I've had the so it's overly dramatic when people delete social media. Just use it less. See, like, no, I mean sometimes I don't necessarily agree with that, Infinity, like, because I've had the same longing to just delete all of my social media and just be free of it and be cold turkey, because like, yeah, I took a break from it for 2 days, and like that's as long as a break that I could take from social media. It is that strong. Like, it is fucking powerful, and it makes you do things that are not really yourself. In the guise of wanting to, get those followers, get those likes, get that attention, get that validation. It can be extremely damaging, just like any other manipulation. So it can't, like, for some people it can be, it can ruin someone's life like other things. Context definitely helps understanding. Yes, and I'm glad that you guys are patient in sitting through this with me, because yeah, I think the picture is definitely starting to form better. Especially being able to read it out loud, it does make it feel more real. I've kind of been doing that lately. Is I've been talking to myself, and talking out loud, it does make these feelings feel a lot more real. And I wouldn't be able to just sit here and talk to myself through this. So I'm glad you guys are here with me through it. I use social media when I have to, and that's I think that's a great. I wish I could have that standpoint. Social is mine. You need to tweak it to suit what you want to use it for. Yes, but I mean, again, it is something that's very addictive, just like any other, like gambling or drugs or anything like that. Like it has that power for sure. At least I can say from my experience. Okay, so let me carry on. But that's where a lot of trouble started to come into view for me. Disconnecting from social media only made me realize how deep this addiction goes. and the fact that this noose was so tight that there is no going back from it. As I focused my time back into the site and our vision, I took note that most brands seem to focus in on just posting on social media for new products or video parts. That the video format I went to college and studied had been bastardized into a short, or gotta post this to my story, or else it never happened. The more I embedded myself into the future, the more convoluted it became. This machine behind the scenes keeps you keeping you attached and siphoning away your life, your time, your joy is not of your own control. When everything you do has to be done for an audience, how much of it is your own free will and how much of it is what you've been conditioned to do? I found myself trapped in a prison I couldn't escape. The problem for me is that this prison is still here, and each day I feel I stray further from the light. Each day creeps me even ever further into differing shades of gray. All food has become bland, all my tasks have piled up, and all of my willpower has diminished. This defeat feels imminent. Gray. Everywhere you look, no other color, just gray. And this sounds a lot like burnout to me. A lot to me like a burnout, from being burned out from, giving your all to the social media thing, and weirdly to relate back to some of the comments saying like, oh, how John went from Razors and now he's got this boss, his boss at Razors, now he's got this boss. I mean, it feels very reminiscent in Travis's perspective here, where like, yeah, he wanted, he was trying really desperately to get away from the grips of the social media thing, and I think he said his title was like he was in charge of social media for Adapt now. So, it's the thing of like, oh, like this is the thing you're trying to escape from, and then you find yourself right back in the same place. So, I think that's something worth considering, for sure. But it can be used for good and to connect to people. That's what I was trying to say when people completely delete them. It can be used for good, yes, but I mean, just like any other drug, like for some people, like, yeah, for someone who's an alcoholic, it's best to quit cold turkey, and not just have a drink here and there, because, one drink here and there can lead to the problem all over again. So I understand your standpoint, Infinity, but I think I'm talking about extreme cases here where that just can't work for some people. I didn't create an IG account until I started skating again. As long as I can keep it strictly rollerblading, it's dope. Yeah, it is nice. I get that is why I'm also concerned about like, getting. I don't really want to get into topics like this too much in my Instagram. Like I want to keep like, yeah, like mental health talks and stuff like this like separate from my Instagram. Because yeah, you start running a slippery slope when you involve, more of your life than just your hobby in Instagram. I get it though when people feel pressure to use it too much though, for sure. Okay. Yeah. I get that because it's almost necessary now, but I've gotten off social media for like a year or more at a time and will again. And that it's good to know that like, yeah, sometimes these things can absorb us and it's good to take a break. I admit I've deactivated socials when I'm in a very low place. I'm a very social person. So for me to disconnect with everyone and everything is a significant act in this world. And yeah, and then the thing is like, I feel like times when, I mean, I guess like shaving my head could be something, kind of an instigator. Like in time when like extreme measures are being pulled, I think it's good to really reevaluate like what's going on and what's causing me to feel these low feelings. And yeah, and yeah, those are good indicators of like, oh, there's something wrong here. Let's try to figure out what is really wrong here. I can relate to a lot of this post. I can too, definitely, Adam. That's what's hard, Amy, but it's different than actually being connected with them. It's a conundrum of our times. Yeah, it's not the same connection. It is an artificial one that doesn't necessarily satisfy the needs of the body and the mind to the same extent that in-person things do. It's a close second, I feel like, but it's not really a full replacement. For me, it's not for the likes or the look at me aspect. My long distance relationships are incredibly important and supportive, and I'm glad that you have an outlet for that. All right, let's continue. I want to read this again just because it's worth reading. I found myself trapped in a prison that I couldn't escape. The problem for me is that this prison is still here, and each day I stray further from the light. Each day creeps me further into differing shades of gray. All food has become bland, all my tasks have piled up, and all my willpower has diminished. This feels imminent. Gray, everywhere you look, no other color, just gray. And that may be depression. It definitely sounds like that. I don't want to, I'm not trying to throw any diagnosis or anything like any. This is it, but it does. In my depression, it feels very similar to that. Standing here speaking about my past, about the deep mechanics of who I'm, felt like it would be cathartic enough from afar. I thought that simply by admitting I was depressed and adrift mentally would solve. Oh, okay, he says would solve the problem, but it hasn't, and it doesn't, unfortunately. That's the hardest part of all of this. Exposing myself to the world isn't the solution here, but speaking candidly about who I am, why I am, and where I'll be going seem to be a necessity for this next step. So here I go. I spoke about my past because my past defines me as the person I am today. I don't quit. I don't stop. I find the solution. I fix the problem. Even at its hardest and most complicated point, I find a path forward. I've always been this way. I'll sit, ponder, tinker, and eventually solve. Part of that is the promise I made to my father on the night he passed away. I'm never one to back down from a challenge, be it technical, physical, or mental. I'm strong, I'm smart, I'm resourceful. But today, I'm none of those things. And it does take a lot of wherewithal to come up to this with this conclusion, admit it, and admit it publicly. So, fuck. I mean, he didn't. I mean, he had my respect, but he definitely, for doing this, he definitely has my respect. On top of all the other things that he's done. Let's catch up real quick. I heard they every social, but it's nice to have when I send a meme to a friend. Yeah, that's good. Casual using is good. It's just like gambling. Casual gambling is fine. Casual drinking is fine. When it gets to be chronic is when things become an issue. It's good for keeping up, but ironically, people are more isolated because of social media. That is the point. Back from finishing work, how we doing? I think we're getting there. I feel like I certainly feel better than when we started. And hopefully I've not dug myself into more of a hole somehow. But yeah, I certainly feel better than we started. So thank you for checking in on that. I enjoy not living up to other people's expectations or what they have imagined me to be in my life. I wish I like that perspective. Most of my friendships are long distance. I have very few friends, mainly people I'm around because of work. I'm not too different from you, Xander. Not too different there. Not in a negative or antagonistic way either. And with YouTube or IG, I wouldn't have met any of you. People who are incredibly kind and welcoming. I have few friends as well, because most people aren't worth. Let's be real. I'll take my own company over 99% of people. Honestly, Travis's issues sound way deeper than social media. Sounds like he's blaming it on social media addiction in modern times. But what he's complaining about is similar to his must-win mindset. I can see some legitimacy in that. I don't know for sure, but that's entirely possible. Pine Top, that's why I'm okay. Having a small YouTube and Instagram channel. But regardless, this is still very good. This is a very good expression, and very well worded. So let's continue on. In order to move forward, I need to let go of the things I simply do not love anymore. The parts of my life that no longer bring me joy, that no longer make me feel like what I'm doing right. I asked myself a very honest question, and when I didn't hesitate with my answer, I knew the right choice I needed to make from here. I asked, if you woke up tomorrow with a terminal illness, what would you do? Where would you invest your time with the small window you may have left? I knew my answer for a long time in advance, even if it was hard to admit. And that's a good question to ask. And I've been trying to ask myself that question. It's like, if I woke up tomorrow with a terminal illness, what would you do? Where would you invest your time with the small window you may have left? And I'm actually coming through this from a more of a suicidality sort of perspective, in the essence that, like, fucking, if I want to die, like, fucking, what do I want to do to actually live? And that's what I've been struggling with lately. It's like, and it's similar to that, but in a different different notion of like I already have a death wish. Are there, what would I want to do that would cause me less death wish? I think it's a valid question that's worth asking. And maybe checking in from time to time. It's like, hey, why is life worth living? And it is short. Like, you don't know how much time you have left. So like, even without a terminal illness, like I think it's worth visiting. Like, how much time, and am I really using my time and energy the way I my spending is the way I would like to with my very limited resources that I have. That I am very much aware that these are very, very limited resources. So again, like I feel like we're learning. I especially am learning a lot from this, definitely. And I do regret it being like, making this more dramatic, but I'm trying to say this is a dramatic from my standpoint and not necessarily dramatic from Travis's standpoint. I'm taking this very, very dramatically. BMAG was the epitome of rollerblading reactionary. Seeing people responding negatively to negative actions is not new. Yeah, and I think, well, that's the thing. Like BMAG doesn't exist anymore, and I would really like the negativity of BMAG to not really manifest itself anymore. And I guess this is me trying to do my part in trying to squash negativity if I can, even if only coming from myself. I'm just trying. Amy, glad you found. I'm glad Amy's here too. I'm glad everybody's here. Honestly, I'm glad everybody's adding to the conversation. If you're just lurking, that's fine too. It's all fine, and I don't want to say anybody's wrong per se, but I will say, what feels real, I guess. Can confirm, great relatable community. I know it doesn't mean much, but you seem like a good soul tree. Hope you find fulfillment that you're searching for. Thank you, Infinity. I'm gonna go with my first instinct and give old Travis the benefit of the doubt. That's good. And I think like we do tend to give people I think especially the rollerblading community definitely gives people the benefit of the doubt way more than a typical community. I mean, we get some weird individuals that we fully embrace just because they skate, and then we find out they're not so bad. Whereas I think a lot of people wouldn't even give them a chance. So I think that these are good things. And also that's kind of why I have a little bit of a fault in a little bit of taking aback from like, oh, like you're putting the rollerblading community down a bunch. It's like I think they deserve credit for being as welcome they are. It's like, yeah, I know it can be perceived as, yeah, the rollerblading community can be seen as gatekeeping. But in the wide spectrum of things, I find it hard to say that with any sort of certainty or any authority that like the rollerblading community is fucking welcoming. In the wide spectrum of things, it's really welcoming. He's amazing amazing person, full stop. Reading for you on your path to peace. Thank you. You guys have been of huge help, Spook, and everyone else. I did my accounts for these reasons. The thing that sucked was I just dipped out. I wish I would have messaged 3 people to keep in touch via email or something when things evened out. Oh, I mean, if you still might be able to find them, hopefully. But yeah, it is good to cash all your checks before you close down shop. Yeah, just in case you want to come back to those things. That's good advice. Or a good lesson to learn from that, MC. I think I would just want to eat some mushrooms and see some cool places if I had terminal illness. I don't think you're too far off. There's actually a study about how microdosing LSD is extremely beneficial or can be extremely beneficial for people neurodivergent. I think in particular autism, but there's some interesting studies about hallucinogens and stuff of that nature that are good for terminal. Other terminal. I've heard it's good for other terminal illnesses too. So interesting that everyone gets the same time on Earth, one lifetime. It's the context that defines it though, and that is a great way to put it. And yeah, it's like I'm spending all this. I don't know. I'm spending this time. Like I want to stop being angry or upset or in hurt or in pain. Like it's a limited amount of time, and if I can, it would be nice to get rid of the things, especially if it's as simple as changing an attitude or taking care of yourself better. Yeah, and I appreciate it. I know I'm taking a long time to read this, but I do want to stay relevant to what people are saying. Here's the thing: if you have people who care about you, suicide isn't fair. A lot of us have probably seen the pain it causes others. I get it. Life is suffering to some extent. Let me finish this thought. I have a little bit to say about this. We have eternity to be dead. Might as well ride out the life we've been given. Be grateful every day for what you have. I know I'm so much happier when I do. That's good. Gratitude is good. I don't necessarily feel the best about if you have people who care about you, suicide isn't fair. So part of my journey currently is learning how to live for myself and not relying on the validation and so forth of other people. So I think in my journey this is not necessarily the best advice. Relying on people who care about you is a good thing. But not committing suicide because people love me just feels like I'm doing it for those people, and I'm in debt for these people, and I'm living my life for the people who care about me, whether or not I necessarily care about them to whatever degree, which sounds awful, but I'm just trying to get to the point where it's like, I think in order for me to really get on top of not wanting to die, and even potentially commit suicide, I think for me it's going to be stronger for me to get into the point of like, I need to figure out that yes, people do love me, but I need to figure out how to love myself and to be okay in my body and not feel that I have the demands of others, not feel that pressure so much, is what I'm currently working through. To what degree that's accurate or where I should be, I can't discern that, but that's just where I am right now. And I've had very, very low points. I understand that. We need more positive vibes. I'm just curious, and you don't have to answer. But do you ever let myself cry? I do. Usually under extreme cases. I would like to more. That would be nice. It is very releasing. That's a very interesting question, and a good one at that. But yeah, and I will keep it. I will keep that note, and it's definitely worth noting. Reach Spoke Tree is a great person, and thank you for that, Pine Top. The Gatekeeper is a combo of difficulty and cost. Skating isn't easy or natural for most, and it's expensive to get started. True. Maps has a program going for mushroom and end-of-life therapy. Okay. So that's the mushroom things we're talking about. 100% tree. Just want to be happy. Yeah. Yeah. If you're I think, and from what I've experienced with people in suicidality, is that like, yeah, it's an extra weight of like, yeah, it's like, oh, I can't do this because I need to make sense of it, but hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully that doesn't make it any worse for anybody. I really don't want things to be worse for anybody at all. Anybody out there, and that includes fucking bugs and anything that's alive or that exists, really, for that matter. Sometimes the people that care about you are the ones that cause you to want to unlive yourself. I had my first attempt at like 8. Dang, that's And that's scary. Like, yeah, like the first time I realized that I did not want to live anymore was when I was in 2nd grade. And, you know, this is unfortunately pretty common, I feel like. So, I mean, I'm saying I do understand that, and I do hear what you're saying, Rob. And yeah, it's like, and again too, and to if you are in a situation of narcissistic abuse, it can make you not want to live anymore. And then yes, and to get back to the point of like, yeah, living for other people. Like if you're living for the person or people who are causing you to not want to live anymore, that just becomes a vicious cycle. And that's something, you know, it's I'm not saying that it shouldn't be just on you. It's something, I'm just saying it's something that should be evaluated a little bit further, if that makes any sense. Like cured. Oh wow. MDMA therapy for PTSD worked around for 30%. Like cured. Wow. That's fascinating. And those are results. Like I wonder, I would like for more, you know, and I think maybe, you know, a few years down, we'll have a better understanding in practices and directions to take these things. But I feel like right now we're really just kind of not necessarily pioneering, but there's not a lot to go off of in these situations. And also the same in a different aspect, like every words, I'm stuttering. Like it's showing really bad that I'm flustered because I'm stuttering really bad now. Fuck. What was I saying? I lost it. I totally lost it. Oh, it was like, yeah, we're just navigating. Oh, every instance in itself is unique. Like, there are similarities, yes, but there are no two things that are exactly the same. Any personal experiences. So that is something that does need to be taken into account. Like, yeah, there's no one solution that fits every single thing either. So, it would be nice to have more solutions out there, certainly, but we do need to understand that there's not a cookie cutter way to address these things. So I'm glad you're still with us too, Rob. Why? Because I was tired of being beat, punished, mentally abused, and isolated. Yeah, and that's harsh. Jeez, Rob, I'm sorry, buddy. Yeah, those things make you not want to live. When that's your life, like fuck, you're like, why do you want to keep experiencing that? And some people are in those situations, and I know that nobody can really understand, but just understand that yes, it is to the point where like it gets to the point where it's like, fuck, what is life really something I want to keep living? Same here, same thing, brother Bob. I'm so sorry, Jordan. Bruce Light, much love, Rob. I understand the thought of thinking of others, but I took care of my mom for 10 years. I have no kids, so when she died, I thought all I had to live for was gone. I had no purpose, and that's another thing to be weary about. Yeah, if you're reliant on another person's life too, it's like, oh geez, like, you know, it's like, how much am I living for myself? Even though that those people do provide a lot for us. Yeah, it's just it's just something we're thinking about. My brother-in-law committed suicide, and if any of us had known he was hurting so bad, we would have done anything to make him feel better. So please reach out to anyone if you feel that way. Yeah, reach out to anybody you feel that way. And I mean, it's good just to reach out to people that are important to you, and you know, kind of just show that, like, hey, you know, you're important in my life, and I respect you, and I guess I'm saying that's this, and even this to Travis as well. It's like, yes, you have importance in the world, Travis, and maybe you did one thing wrong or whatever. I don't know, but you are important to us, and I still appreciate all of the things that you've done. It is, and they're great. And even outside of that, like you're still a valuable person, and you've gone through a lot, and that's understandable too. Yes, I want to go on an ayahuasca retreat. Well, that sounds intense. I believe that's the one that fucks you up or whatever, but yeah, it does sound insane. And yes, I have Pat, and I live for him, of course. But you have to be a little selfish and live for yourself. It's finding those reasons that can be hard. And that's where it gets tough too. It's like, you know, you don't want to be too selfish, I feel. You know, there's a line of crossing into when you become too self-absorbed and too selfish, but you need to have a balance, which is like anything else. And I feel like for me now, things are definitely not in the proper balance. They're getting they're in a better balance than they were last year and even like a week or two ago, probably for me. But it's a balance that has to be maintained. It can't just be like, here's one thing and then it's balanced and it stays balanced. I mean, it's gonna topple again, and it's to be aware of that. I get the point of living for yourself and not living for others. I have seen people totally broken from suicide of a loved one, and I personally could not do that to certain people in my life. We are in this together, and yeah, it gets tough. It gets tough to really distinguish these clear lines and things like that. It is. Yes, Amy facts. Yeah, the sounds are turned off. I felt like those would be I'm trying to be serious here, and I don't think I think that might diminish my vibe currently. So yeah, they're turned off currently. Exactly, Tree. If psychedelics fixed it, it would be I would be a very happy person. Oh man, I wish. Sorry to hear. I am very sorry to hear that, Infinity, as well. That cannot be easy by any fathom. I think a lot of people keep their pain to themselves, men especially. Oh, and yes, I agree. And that's kind of why I'm doing this. Like, I want to get the pain out there. I don't want to bottle it in anymore. That's what I'm used to doing. And it's like, yeah, it's a whole suck it up and get through it kind of mentality. Like, you know what? I don't want to suck it up anymore. I want to address this so I don't have to suck. I don't want to have to suck these things up anymore. I want to be able to figure it out, process through it, and understand it. So when something like this happens, I can come from a place of like, okay, yeah, like this Travis, he may be going through some shit, or like something, or maybe this is just the way Travis is. Like, and this is something I have to do internally for myself to not feel this way. And I guess in a way that's kind of my contribution is to society is not getting uppity. Because I do feel like I feel like I'm making a stink out of this when it's unwarranted. So like I feel like what I'm doing now is really no different from what Travis is doing at the same time. Well, not no different, but similar in nature. And it could definitely be perceived that way, I feel, because I'm looking at it that way right now as well. So that's a possibility. So that's why I'm trying to work this out. Really, balance for sure. Men tend to bottle shit up. It's changed a little in recent years, but not dramatically. Yeah, just a little bit. But I'm definitely feeling the difference. That's how it's just growing up. You don't talk about being sad, you suck it up, and that's why that's how we get people who want to kill themselves. Yeah, you keep that bottle up, and then you have no release from it, and then next thing you know, it's like, fucking, I don't want to live this life anymore. At least that's been my experience. Women have their own effed up expectations too. We all have to deal with this crap. Yes, I couldn't deal with it. If I was a girl, like I don't think I would. I think I probably would have killed myself. With all the expectations they have. All right, I'm stepping down from all things Blader. I'm going to continue on. That's what I'm doing now. Sorry. I'm stepping down from all things Blader Union and leaving the company I helped build. No, I'm not facing that above question literally, but mentally I've arrived at that precipice. I reflect back on the last 5 years I've poured into this brand. When I reflect, I see the New Year's I've left my girlfriend completely alone as I stayed up late into the night launching a native Blader Union app for iOS and Android. I reflect back on Thanksgiving dinner I walked out on and left cold to go meet a fellow skater at a skate park to shoot a photo for our company's social media. For the hours of fighting with my phone, standing in the middle of the skate park floor to get a functioning live stream going for people who could only point at its flaws. For the endless hours I feel I've spent trying to sway a generation to swing together in harmony to advance us forward. And more so for the last 3 months of feeling lower than I ever have in my entire life. I only find the one common string in the fact that I don't love what I do anymore. And it does sound like he's very much, and yes, I'm really starting to come to an understanding and perhaps like, you know, I don't really want to say forgiveness because maybe you know, what Travis said wasn't really terribly wrong. And it was said very lightly too, and not very seriously. But this is serious, and it does sound like, you know, he was very, you know, his attachment to rollerblading has caused him pain, and rollerbladers themselves have caused him pain. But I will say that like he's felt the pain of you know, social media, of people pointing out flaws. And I would say I am trying not to take a stance of trying to lower those, and I feel that, you know, pointing out flaws and say Demetrius or the you know, the rollerblading journalism is you know, is just prolonging these feelings. So it's like I'm saying, like if you feel the pain, I think there's a way, you know, there's a way to try to avoid pain from continuing into others, if that makes sense. Which is extremely difficult, I know, but it is just a notion that I'm trying to adopt. And it doesn't help when you have family members that seem to be made of steel and say things like, it could be worse. And the response is, well, I fucking hope not, because it's pretty fucking bad. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I understand that too. It's like, it could be worse, but there's no way you could even tell it could be worse. But at the same time, it's really fucking bad. Like, it is substantial. And that is one of those, you know, it's one of those ableist terms of in diminishing and evaluating the actual pain that we are experiencing. And yeah, it does not help one bit. And yeah, Amy is right. Super condescending and lacks empathy. It is very much so. I agree. They mean well and be counterproductive at the same time. And yeah, and that's where kind of like, and that's kind of like, it's not the same as gaslighting. But it is of the same nature. It's like, you know, it's, these things sound good and believable, and you want to and they can and sometimes come from a good place, but that's not the feeling and the vibe that they give off. I think when I was in the office, I think a term would kind of be a term that's kind of along the lines of this would be called microaggressions. And yeah, like my company did not put up with microaggressions. And it seems a little bit like microaggressions, which you know can come off meaning well, but can be extremely damaging at the same time. It's like a backhand compliment of sorts, and that's something to be mindful of when communicating with people. Sounds like Travis Payne is not rollerblading, but internal criticism of all things skating. Yeah, it does sound like there's more to it than just skating. Name dropping was definitely whack. Something I've finally realized is people have their limitations, and you sometimes have to just understand their limitation. That's true, and sometimes it's really hard for them to put their limitations out there. A lot of times these limitations are invisible as well, so it just has to come with, you know, openness that these things may exist. They may not, but they may too, and it's fucking hard. It's really hard. You can determine if they're worth their trouble or not too. It's basically stop feeling what you're feeling because it doesn't make sense to me, and that is very much invalidating, right? That's what it sounds like. All right, let's continue reading onward. We're mostly done. 2020 will begin my 30th year with skates on my feet. From my humble beginnings on my yellow Veriflexes to the handcrafted excellence I skate on now. There has yet to be a moment where I regretted skating being such an important part of my life. I feel this unstoppable wave building inside me, though. This tidal pull of just try a little harder. And I don't want to today. Sway with me more power and ferocity than anything I've felt. The mental warfare I endure day in and day out for something I gain no ground from. I feel the creeping loom of depression hanging over my every waking moment. Even putting these words onto paper has taken me over a week to do, as I constantly fight with the want to scrap this entire post and just try one more time, or to simply write "so long, thanks for all the fish," and be done with it. It'd be easy for me to point fingers at things I don't like or things I can't improve, but the reality is that this isn't one problem. This is a hydra that grows with each new solution I seem to find. I spent nearly 2 months on the road this summer, living out of my camper van. Just me and my best friend for the last 8 years, my mini Aussie named Merlin. I spent so many hours thinking about the what ifs, the just this one more things, and the one more night to do this right. When I finally broke free of those thoughts, it was the first time in years I just felt free. And goddamn, that's fucking relatable. Sitting quietly in the backyard of someone's house in rural Maryland. No timelines, no coverage, no requirements. Looking back, I'm not reflecting on the two of us talking about the future of skating, or how we're trying to make our next move, or how we're going to solve the blading crisis with another project. I'm reflecting on the feeling of the ramp under my feet, the smiles under our faces, the fight to stay upright in the world that only wants to break you down. I'm reflecting on skating with friends at his ramp by the lake, getting pumped up together and trying things that should be physically impossible by conventional means, and not comparing about the stories, the photos, the videos, or the proof that I was there. I find myself caring about just being a part of skating and not the representation of it. And I think a lot of us are going through this. How much more do we got? A little bit more. I think a lot of us are going through this of like, yeah, it's like we live in such a digital world. Like we miss just the feeling of not having everything covered, of just living in the moment. And yeah, I think that was very well put, for sure. So yeah, like and in reading this, like I feel so much better about Travis. Right. Nothing makes me want to scream F you louder than a response like that. Yeah, it is doing way more harm than it is doing good. Yes. See, Travis is about Brother Union. Seeing Travis post about Blader Union and bringing lights to his feelings on Adapt. He worked hard for Blader Union and received criticism, similar to Adapt, who works hard with their product and receives criticism. Yeah, and it's making a lot of sense now. It is. It is, and maybe this is just one of those things of like, oh, yeah, there's something really going on here. And hopefully there's nobody that really. Hopefully nobody takes offense to me, kind of digging into this. This is what I do. It's like when something is bothering me, I dig into it and I try to figure out the best I can about it, so I can understand it better and not feel this pain about it that I'm feeling. I can see why Travis. Yeah, I can see too. It's starting to really come together. I feel like Rob. It's funny to actually do sometimes. Just call him out. But yeah, that might end up an explosion too. It's like fuck. I mean, depending on the person, but yeah, fucking talking this communication shit is hard, and I'm 39 and I'm just now starting to like really just even start to address all this shit. So it's really fucking difficult, but I'm not the only one in this matter also. So. That also is sort of relieving. I don't want to be the machine anymore. I don't want to be the decision maker, the poet, the designer. I just want to fall back in love with skating again. Sitting alone at the skate park, headphones in, staying upright. Traveling the world with no obligations to anyone or anything. I just want to be free of the machine, or at worst, be a small part of the whole on my own timeline. I felt the weight of the entire sport on my shoulders, along with the undying need to deliver, and I simply could not. 9 months ago, I built a functioning green screen studio in my home, and to date, have only been able to find the power to stand in front of the camera a single time. I know it's time to let this go. And to get back to kind of Amy's thing of executive dysfunction. I mean, it sounds it sounds very similar to the executive dysfunction talk of like, having these things, and I know he's very capable of using a green screen and a camera, but I mean, sometimes, the body and the mind just say, yo, you can't do these things. And it's like, it's just debilitating, and we have to kind of understand that we can't, and maybe we need to rest, and maybe we need to take a look back and reevaluate things, kind of like what he's doing now. It seems like to try to understand like how we can do these things, or even if these things are worthwhile. If they're worth spending the effort on. In the wide spectrum of the limited amount of scope that we have in life. So, God, so relative. Don't feel bad. Oops. Don't feel bad, Tree. I'm 43 and learning stuff I should have learned 20 years ago. But here we are. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's not should have. I think like should have is also another kind of ableist sort of wording. Especially should have without any definers. Like, why should you have done this? Like, yes, it would have been beneficial, but the fact of the matter is, like, we just weren't able to. We weren't able to come to these realizations back then. It was out of our scope, and we can't. And I want to start taking the approach that I shouldn't feel bad about that, because why it's like I don't want to feel bad about something that I just wasn't able to do. And that's that's just my thoughts on that. I'm done with that. It's hard, especially when you're used to being the nice person. Yeah, that does get in the way. It's like being nice gets in the way of advocating for yourself. You want to be nice, but you also want to be nice to yourself. That it gets tricky in that aspect. I wouldn't know the person I saw in that interview and the person who wrote this article were the same. I appreciate Tree for showing all sides. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad it's coming off as that. I picked my battles. That's a good point. Yeah, it's wise not to get in the fight that's not worth it. Hindsight. Yeah, and again, it's like I do feel wrong for bringing this up, but I'm starting to feel more right for going through all of this. There's no standard timeline for personal growth and self-actualization. Yeah, and some people never achieve it. So I mean, it's when it's get it in where you can fit it in. That's a very beautifully put, Sean. And I may have to adopt that. There's no standard timeline for personal growth or maybe sex actualization, self-actualization. Let me read that one more time cohesively. There's no standard timeline for personal growth and self-actualization. Those are good words. Good words. And again, it's like we're like it would be nice. It would be nice not to be against each other. Like I would like everybody to be with each other and want to support each other. Adapt, Travis, everybody, not even not skaters. It would be I think it would be lovely to live in a world where like everybody is looking out for each other just as much as they are themselves. That sounds pretty dreamy to me. All right, let's finish this up. I'm almost good now. I think if I finish this, I will be okay. Oh, okay, wait. No, Tree, you trusted your instincts. You don't have to have bad intentions, and you listen to all viewpoints. You're good. Okay, I'm glad it's coming off as that. Again, it's like, I wish I wasn't more worried and just said, fuck it, we're doing this shit because I want to do this shit. But yeah, I do care about others. But yeah, I think it would be nice to come to have a little bit more like, you know what, fuck it, I'm doing this because I need this to feel better. And that is a standpoint that I took for this. But that's fine. I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna finish reading this. So, but I feel dramatically better about all this, and hopefully anybody involved also feels dramatically better about this. And I'm glad to have put it out there. All right. I currently oh gosh, I can relate for this so much already. I currently have no creativity as every shade in my mind is gray. I have no will to build because I don't care about what happens next. I have no want to improve because it's taken everything from me already, and yet this darkness still looks to me hungry for more. And so, for the first time I can remember, I'm letting go. I'm putting my faith in the foundation I helped build and walking away without looking back. I'd be lying to you if I said I won't regret doing it, but I need to go back to that question I asked myself. I have to honestly remind myself that this isn't for you, any of you, or for anyone else. This is for me, for my life, for my mental health, for my sanity, for my future. I don't want my 30th year skating to be the first thing in life I truly regret. And God, that's so good. And I can relate to that so much, especially the no creativity part. Like when I'm currently in burnout, and like especially like getting burnout from doing my job. And I'm currently in burnout from of having to be of being a content creator. My own addiction to being a content creator and chasing after those numbers, those likes, those comments and shit. I got consumed by that, and like it makes it really hard to be creative on tap. Like for me, like creativity in its best essence just comes out of nowhere. But when I'm trying to force my creativity for these outlets, like Travis did for Blader Union, like me, I'm doing it for Instagram and even for these streams. Like this is things that are pulling from a pool that is also limited. Creativity is limited, and if you take all of it out, like it could just be there or not be there and not even replenish. So I understand that greatly, and it is, and I'm glad that he realized it's good to step away from it, because it just eats you up, and to the point where you can't do it anymore. And that's really the sad part about it, I think. All right, let's move on. I wish you all the best with everything from here. I wasn't alone in building Blader Union, and I hope I won't be alone in bringing down what we've helped create. There's momentum to what we've started. I'm so fucking proud of that team and the mountains they've climbed. We have put so many hours into bringing this vision to life, and there are still so many chapters that are unwritten. Some words, though, may be left best unsaid. I'm so grateful for all the sacrifices everyone attached to the brand has made, and the progress, both personal and professional, they've achieved. Looking forward, I also no longer see the light at the end of that shared tunnel for me. I know my own time there has come. Over the coming days, I'll be discussing what that means with the team and the brand as we look forward into what the future may hold. I find solace in the lyrics of songs. I pour my heart into the video work I produce, often tying the symbolism of those lyrics to bring an emotion into the things I do. I do this with the Nzanti, and I've done it with a number of other videos and projects I've made over the years. As I was writing this, I was drawn back to a lyric that meant a lot to me in the past. I feel like it's a good way for me to close this chapter of my life and begin to move forward. Weep not for the roads untraveled. Weep not for paths left alone. Because beyond every bend is a long, binding end. It's the worst kind of pain I know. Give up your heart left broken and let the mistake pass on. Because the love that you're lost wasn't worth what it cost. And in time, you'll be glad it's gone. Weep not for the road untraveled. Weep not for sights unseen. May your love never end. And if you ever need a friend, there's a seat here alongside me. And there are no bad intentions. And I feel like, after reading that, I feel like there are no bad intentions from Travis either. I feel very, I feel like I do know him better as a person, especially being, going through this deep, heartfelt thing that he shared. And I do feel better. I do feel a little like, I don't know if the right word is concern or not, but I feel like he went through a lot going through Blader Union and all this, and with his father, and also to come to the conclusion that the social media thing is not for me, and I need to take a break from it. And this was, only 2 years ago, and to find himself back doing the rollerblading social media thing, I'm not so sure that it really processed, and really he's had come to terms with the being hooked on the being hooked to rollerblading social media. Among other things in his life that I have no idea what's going on. And then it's like I do understand wanting to get away from it and just turn it all off and just be in the moment. So yeah, I definitely feel better about this. I've been talking for a while. I think I'm probably going to close it down here. And yeah, it could be over some circumstances that it just so happens to be where, you know what, he's right back where he, not right back where he started, but back in a similar situation with being in charge of social media, and especially when you get started on things like this, like it can get out of hand, and before you know it, you could end up in a spot where you don't feel comfortable being in, which like it sounds like he got to in the Blader Union side of things. And it can be consuming, and sometimes you're doing things that aren't necessarily yourself. And yeah, I will say that it made me feel some kind of way before, but hopefully going through this, it also makes it be like, oh, you know what, not so bad, not as bad as I originally perceived it. But yeah, it hurt me, but it did hurt me because of my past experiences. And it's not necessarily fair to include him in those past experiences. But it was very reminiscent of some of those past experiences I've experienced, including like the negative comments on social media and things like that. So I do feel like I have a better understanding of it, and I think I have definitely come to better terms with it, and I am not I don't feel so badly about it, and I took it definitely harsher than it probably was ever meant to be. In the same way as far as the question I asked too, I think that was also taken more harshly as it meant to be. The question was it's like, how do you feel? How does it feel working for a company with a polarizing image? What do you do to? How do you deal with the fuck? What was it? How do you deal with the negative criticism or something like that? What was it? What did I say? How do you handle the criticism? And I'm actually very curious about this because like what's the word? I'm very curious about it because like, yeah, I'm going through this right now. It's like, how do you deal with all this negative, all these criticisms? Like I was hoping to kind of get some insight over like what you experienced. I feel like John Fromm did a very good way of expressing that. And I think that's why I'm also mad. It's like, I'm looking for help here. This is me kind of asking for help in a way. Because I'm going through this and I want to do it. And I'm not saying his answer was the best. I'm not saying his answer was the best, but I can see how it can elicit an emotion, and it could have digged. And this is just speculation purely, but I could see how this question could dig up a lot of those worms of why he quit Blader Union of those criticisms and stuff too. So I'm just gonna put that out there. And manipulation, gaslighting is psychological abuse, and it can manifest, it could spread. Like when I was going through my own manipulation and gaslighting, like I was doing it myself as well. So I want to put that out there as well. Is that it can lead to more and more manipulation, more gaslighting, and just giving the benefit of the doubt here, and not wanting to throw stones or claim names. I honestly wish that everybody involved gets into a better place. I would love for Adapt to be treated like any other company, and for people to have trust in it, but also, validly to have trust in Adapt as well. That being said, if you prove to be a jerk over many different situations, then I'm done with you. And it does get to a point where, like, you know what, we can only cut so much slack. Which is interesting. Words are assholes. Words are hard, but everyone should get a fair shake. I agree. Like, yeah. And that's the thing. Like, yeah, some people just are really well meant to do, and they just slip and stuff here and there too. But yeah, when it gets to be a trend, that's when I have issue, and I guess I do have issue of things. Some things with Adapt that have seemed to be a trend. And I do hope that those things can be resolved over time and get better. I don't want them to go away. They do feel a niche in our market, Certainly. I know I came late, but whose letter? Oh, this was Daniel's letter. Travis, not Daniel. Travis Stewart's letter about him leading that. I'm so glad. It's like I still struggle with this. Like I still need to admit that yes, I have experienced abuse. It wasn't just you. I know the words said today pissed a lot of other people off. Yes, and I did get some affirmations in the stream too. And again, like I would like for these just not to continue. And I think Travis is a decent guy, and I think that and I know Adam vouches for him, and that what, let's just not go here anymore. That would be very nice if we just don't go here anymore. I would like not to have to talk like this frequently, at least. I mean, yes, if there's an issue, and I'm also glad that yes, I did take the assertiveness to like be like, hey, this doesn't feel right. And yeah, I guess that is part of me being assertive. Like, hey, I need this. This is a need that I have, and I need to get this worked out because this doesn't feel right. So I am proud of myself in that aspect. So, and again, like in any situation, like my mind is going all over the place. So it makes it hard to make sense of anything, and especially when you're being gaslit or when you are actually being gaslit or actually being, manipulated. It was an honest question. Well, thank you. Again, he's been in the industry for so long. He knows all the BS. It ain't pretty, and I have heard that there's a lot of ugliness to being in the industry, and it's a thing of like you can't, and I guess maybe there's gatekeeping in that aspect because you can't really be that honest about it because like then you lose all your connections and things like that. So that's got to be rough, and I think that's probably the key, or not the key, but apparent for a lot of things in a lot of industries. But not to be that sort of logic and diminish that, but it's fucking hard. I still have, not a solid understanding of this, but a better one. Definitely a better one. And I don't want to abuse is abuse. I don't want to put the or what is it? I don't want to say that, hey, this is how it is. This is a definitive. I still am, gelatin in my thinking here, but I do feel better if that's any sort of recourse. But he's ready to throw up defenses. Yeah, and there could be a lot of things within that too. I guess you need to watch the interview. Only good criticism is constructive criticism. If you're going to track something, then give feedback on how it can be improved. And I think I've done that. Narcs groom you to self-doubt and gaslight yourself. This is true. It seems wrong. It seems very wrong to put someone through that. Me too, Rob. Yeah. Rob is Travis from Blader Union and not part of Adapt. And I did have an uneasy feeling about the whole the vibe of it moving forward. And these are things that I, if this is not the reality, like these things can be adjusted pretty easily. I feel like, hopefully. I will see two representatives defending Adapt does not come across as credible. Love these guys, but it's not unbiased. It's not unbiased, and I mean I have my own bias too. But yeah, I mean they definitely have bias. It's company promotion, so you're gonna say things that you're gonna twist things a little bit in order to do so. Okay, thanks, Sean. What about Alex? And glad for those who know Travis to counterbalance. Stress the word balance. And yeah, I'm so glad that Adam was here. Way more gatekeeping at that level than any other. Oh shit, I don't know what that is. Avoid people I don't like. Okay. Sean, I'm not ready to declare Travis a narcissist because he gave a couple bad answers to an awkward situation he didn't cause, and I'm glad that I'm glad that I explored this truly because I didn't necessarily want to paint somebody in a picture that isn't true. And that's an extreme statement. I mean, but I'll be lying if I didn't have some suspicions. But I feel clear about this, and I feel clear in saying that, you know, I certainly hope that, you know, he's just maybe not in the right place, or just it wasn't, I don't know. But it was heavy. It's still kind of heavy. And maybe things don't have to be so heavy in the future, ideally. Plus, with the DAP announcements and timing of the interview, it all seems suspect. I hope the owner of the DAP can take feedback, learn, grow, represent themselves in the future. In the future, positive vibes. Yeah, I believe like John Fromm said, they were doing some things about, like, you know, getting people skating and things like that in their area, I think. Again, they do have a need, and yeah, like, people do want some high quality skates, and it's good, you know, some very top of the line, you know, things that people who have money to expend. That's cool that they meet a need that exists with Super Lagas, Zeros, whatever. I can't pronounce that, but yeah, I think I'm gonna stop talking here. And just wind down, because I feel like I can kind of wind down. I actually chipped my tooth like right before this stream, and like that's probably something I should address. But yeah, this had me so worked up, and I wanted to talk about it. It was over 2 years old. He's in a better space now. That's good to hear. All right, Jordan. All right, yeah, I'm gonna close this down. Let's pause it. Check the teeth forms. Oh shit, I should check the teeth forms. Yeah, but I don't feel like I feel like just kind of relaxing. But yeah, a lot of the stress is gone, so I feel like I can actually relax now, and that's a good thing. Again, like, yeah, I guess that's the imposter syndrome of like, yeah, feeling that, like, yeah, my needs isn't really worth going out there. That's something I needed to get over, but I at least for the moment am happy that I went and did this. And hopefully we get a better understanding of where it is, and I mean, I doubt that many people will even go through this, but with internet, you never know. But Travis, if you're watching, I wish you the best, buddy. I wish you the best. All right, we're going out of here. Deke, good night.